The Gamesilog Show.
Welcome back sa The Gamesilog Show, kwentuhan podcast about video games. Ako si Dell, and as always, kasama ko ang aking napakalupit na co-host na si Jhaz. So this time, Jhaz, kamusta?
Ayos lang, masaya. May nakakapag-stream na ako ng ibang games dahil sa video card na binenta mo sa akin na napakamura.
So ayan guys, so ano nga pala, new update lang kasi lately parang medyo limited yung bandwidth ni Jhaz when it comes to streaming, but ayun nga, since 13-month pay at nag-upgrade na ako ng graphics card lately. Hindi, ano lang, hindi naman yung mga 3090 kasi hindi naman available eh. Pero nag-upgrade ako ng siguro papalag for now. So ayan, so bali yung old video card ko na kay Jhaz na. So si Jhaz, medyo I can say nag-level up na yung quality ng stream niya. And for this week nga, by the time of this release, kung pansin nyo, ayan, nag-start na siyang mag-stream ng Resident Evil 3 sa page. So, yes. So, ano ba yung story doon, Jhaz? Kasi parang balita ko, medyo iba yung way ng pag-obtain mo ng game eh. Hindi mo siya ata pinila, di ba?
Yes, mabilis lang na shoutout sa PlayStation Philippines na meron silang kasi parang project, yung The Libreng Hiram Project. So, nagpo-post sila doon sa page nila. Tapos, nagpo-post din sila ng mga games. Tapos, magko-comment ka lang kung bakit ikaw yung pipiliin. Tapos, nag-comment ako doon na yun. May podcast kami. Tapos, nung first quarter ng year, halos same yung release date ng Final Fantasy VII Remake tsaka ng Resident Evil 3 Remake. Eh, syempre, wala tayong masyadong budget. Isa lang yung pinili ko, which is yung Final Fantasy VII Remake. Mas lamang yun kaysa sa Resident Evil, di ba? So, hanggang sa nakalimutan ko na yung Resident Evil 3, nag-post dun sa page nila na yun nga, yun yung game. So, napili ako. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Daryl Ong, na ako yung napili nyo.
Yeah. Hirap pa naman yung mga ganyan na napipili ka sa raffle eh. Pero nagulat na lang ako, nag-message si Jhaz na, uy, mag-stream ako ng Resident Evil. So, what? So, yun, nalaman ko ganun. So, shoutout sa inyo, PlayStation Philippines, sa, patuloy na pagbibigay ng mga ganitong klase ng promo despite of the pandemic. But still, the bottom line there is si Jhaz, may upgrade na video card. So, pwede na siya mag-explore ngayon ng mga games sa PC. Like,
yes, lalo ng Among Us. Mga ganyan na, Among Us.
Among Us din, di ba?
Bigat nun.
Oo nga. Hindi lang naman Among Us actually. Kasi, isa rin siguro kaya medyo pinupush ko sa Jhaz na bilhin yung graphics card ko kasi meron din kaming isang game na gustong laruin actually. For the longest time, to be exact. And this is actually Final Fantasy 14. So
galing ng segue naman nun. Parang wala sa show notes.
wala titingnan sa show notes to. But then again, guys, gaya nga na napangako namin sa inyo on our past recording. So ito, ang episode natin for today has something to do with Final Fantasy 14. Knowing na sa lahat ng Final Fantasy games siguro na na-release, ito yung we can say kami sa end namin ni Jhaz is natulugan namin talaga. And knowing na may PC na kami parehas ngayon at tingin namin na kaya naman ng mga PC namin na laruin tong game na to, parang gusto naming i-deep dive itong game na to this time or gawa ng like review in the long run. Pero parang for some reason is parang nakaka-overwhelm na mag-dive in sa game na to at this time dahil parang tingin ko either nasa late stage na tayo or what not, pero pa rin dahil yun yung parang yung game na to actually, masasabi namin ito yung parang missing piece na lang dun sa namin sa experience namin sa Final Fantasy in general kaya ayun, naisipan namin na gawin tong episode na to, and naisipan din namin tong format na to actually kasi for the longest time, most of the topics na pinag-usapan namin dito sa Gamesilog is more about games na may expertise either isa sa amin. But this time talaga is we will act as students kasi for this episode may kasama kaming dalawang sensei na nakuha namin and pumayag na turuan kami or bigyan tayo ng crash course mga bayaw sa Final Fantasy 14. So, for this episode, guys, let's both welcome Super Warielle ng Gamebookr and Miss Vee. Welcome sa show, guys.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, so talagang the time na naisipan ko maglaro ng FF14, ang una kong ginawa nun actually is parang maghanap kaya ako ng pwede makausap. Then na-discover ko yung Final Fantasy 14 Philippines. Then eventually nakita ko yung page na si Warielle nagpo-post na ng I think yung may nag-share ng stream mo doon. So kaya nalaman ko na streamer ka ng FF14. So tinry ko siya actually. After ko makita yung nag-i-stream ng FF14 dun sa page, tinry ko siya. And for some reason parang hindi siya nagko-connect. So parang feeling ko meron akong hindi nagagawa na tama. So kaya naisipan ko na invite namin kayo dito sa page ito. So again, thanks for accepting our invitation dito. So ayan. So by the way, bago tayo pala mag-start, no, introduce nyo naman kasi for sure, karamihan sa mga listeners or sa viewers nito sa video format natin is baka hindi pa familiar sa inyong dalawa. So, siguro start tayo by introducing yourselves, guys, to the listeners and viewers. So, sinong gustong mauna sa inyong dalawa?
Ako na lang.
Ayan na, go na sis.
Para tapos na.
Sige.
So, hello everyone! I'm Super Warielle. I stream in our page, Gamebookr. So, in there, I stream together with my husband ever since the pandemic came. But before the pandemic, we were a group of streamers. Just a group of friends who loves video games, and we want to share our experience to the world. So yun, we also, aside from streaming, also organize a bunch of I guess tournaments or events or anything fun na not too serious, chill, so that kasi we're not fan of competitive games. We just really like chilling and playing. So there we organized the Pokemon Gym Challenge. Before we also hosted Smash tournaments, Super Smash Bros. Yeah. And the very recent one that we organized was a Marvel Super War FFA tournament for the community. So yun, that's our specialty, streaming and organizing a bunch of unusual events.
Unusual events.
Thank you. Thank you, Warielle. So, Miss V, take it away.
Ayan, okay. So, hello everyone. It's me, your one true Khaleesi, Miss Vee. And if Miss Marielle or Super Warielle is a veteran, I'm actually a newbie in streaming. In fact, I just started last September. Actually, first ever stream ko was on my birthday. Diba? For fun, like why not?
Nice.
Ako naman, I also stream a variety of games. Pero recently, I've really been focusing on Final Fantasy 14 because I am currently doing the story part pa rin. I'm in the last expansion, the recently released one. So I've been focusing on that. But aside from that, I also stream other types of games like Marvel Super War and Pokemon and even other RPGs like Persona 5 Royal.
Nice.
Yes, yung mga ganun. And also with what Super Warielle said earlier, I actually met them through one of their events. Before I started streaming, the usual gamer person na since pandemic, chill muna tayo, enjoy. And then I came across their Pokemon Gym Challenge. So I joined that. That's how I met them. And actually, Gamebookr is one of my inspirations for streaming. So that is how we became friends.
Nice.
So,
Curious ako, no? Bago kayo naging streamer, bago kayo na naglalaro ng Final Fantasy 14, ano ba yung video game history niyong dalawa?
Oh. It's a very long story.
Ano ba yung game na nalaro niyo na, uy, okay tong video games ha? Or yung parang game na nag-resonate sa inyo before pa, kahit hindi niyo pa talaga naiintindihan yung ins and outs ng game, hindi niyo pa masyadong parang nagfo-focus sa storyline, pero talagang okay tong video game ha? Parang ganun.
Ikaw naman, Miss Vee.
Sige. Well, ako kasi, I started gaming ever since I was really young. Like, alam mo yung typical setup ng family wherein, kasi ako bunso ako. So, I have an older brother who was already into gaming and all of that, and even comic books. That's how my interest with comic books and gaming started. Na parang, syempre as the bunso, sa akin napapasa yung the older generation kapag nabibilan yung kuya ko ng newer generation. So I think my interest in video games really started ever since I could play. Alam mo yon. But throughout my gaming history siguro, what I would say is I was more invested in playing yung mga story-driven games talaga, like RPGs, ganon. And since we're also talking about Final Fantasy rin, no, one of the first games kasi na I remember being invested talaga in the story was Final Fantasy VII sa PlayStation 1.
Nice.
Yes. As in, doon talaga nag-start. Alam mo yung parang I was still a little kid na parang, paano ba ito laruin? Pero laruin ko pa rin kasi natutuwa ako dun sa story. And, you know, as the years went on, my interest for those types of games just kept evolving and evolving until lumabas yung PlayStation 3. Because for me, my favorite game until now is still Dragon Age Origins. If you guys are familiar.
Yes.
It's created by BioWare. Tapos RPG talaga siya. Tapos what made me love that game kasi was sobrang invested talaga yung story niya with the lore, character background, as in everything about it. Very immersive. So, I guess that just reflects kung anong type ng game talaga yung mga gusto kong laruin. And true enough, that is what Final Fantasy is din naman.
Totoo. Question, sinong bias mo sa Final Fantasy 7?
Oh my God.
Sinong bias mo?
Aries talaga ako eh. Aries
Nice.
pa siya, diba?
Ultimate.
Aries na siya ngayon eh, pero Aries talaga siya before.
Gusto ko
pero,
na Aries yung tawag mo sa kanya, hindi Aries.
Oo.
Kasi
Aries
yun
kasi
na-
talaga siya ng 7, di ba?
Ayun.
PS1.
Oo,
PS1
PS1
naman.
na maraming disc.
Oo.
Di ba?
Nice,
Ayun.
nice. So, ikaw naman, Marielle. Tell us more about your gaming history.
Ako naman, may kuya kasi ako and siya talaga yung nag-influence sa akin video game as a gaya-gaya kasi idol mo syempre kuya mo. So yung mga pinapabili niya, gusto ko rin. Yung unang pinabili niya is a Game Boy. So
Game
sa
Boy.
kanya
Nice.
Game Boy Color, sa akin Game Boy Black and White.
Yung mataba, yung kulay gray pa? Tama ba? Yung diba?
Ay, hindi. Yung Game Boy Color na, yung violet.
Okay.
Purplish violet siya. Tas akin, color yellow, pero black and white. Sa kanya, Game Boy Color. Mas mura kasi mas bata. So yun, siya talaga yung nag-influence sa akin. And the first game talaga that I ever played was Pokemon Red/Blue. I don't remember anymore actually kung red or blue. Basta, kasi sabay sila ni-release, di ba? So yun. And then nag-evolve na. Game Boy, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. So PlayStation girl talaga ako ever since. Nintendo on the side also. But I never played Xbox. Yung sa side na yun ng gaming. And PC actually. PC, ngayon lang ako na-immerse sa PC. Sa Final Fantasy 14.
Master Race.
PC Master Race. For me, it's PlayStation Master Race.
PlayStation Master Race.
Agreed. PlayStation. Actually, mamaya may
PlayStation
question dyan. May question tayo mamaya, di ba? Kung saan ba mas okay maglaro kung sa PC or sa PlayStation 4. Feeling ko kahit mas ma-maximize sa PC, parang mas gusto ko pa rin maglaro sa PS4 kasi andun ako sa ecosystem na yun eh, parang hirap kumawala. Pati yung trophy, ganyan, parang at some point, kung lalaruin ko din yung Final Fantasy 14, parang gusto ko rin sanang i-platinum eh, parang ganun. Pero anyway, pag-usapan natin mamaya.
Okay, So, kanina naman, sinabi naman ni Miss Vee na, I think, sabi mo, Miss Vee, yung favorite game of all time is Dragon Age, di ba?
Yes.
So, yeah. So, sa'yo naman, Marielle, ano naman yung masasabi mo na favorite game of all time mo?
Ay, madali lang yan. Final Fantasy.
Anong Final Fantasy?
Final Fantasy 8 and 10.
Uy, 10!
Oh my God, 10 talaga.
Oh my God, 10.
10.
Skupo.
Yes, 10.
Oh my gosh. It's the last Squaresoft Final Fantasy.
Totoo.
Yes.
Totoo.
Correct.
Tsaka natutuwa lang ako kasi, sorry dadaldal ako. Meron ako minsan mga nababasa na, syempre hindi naman din maiwasan may mga haters, ganyan, or may mga nagbibigay ng kanya-kanyang opinion sa kanilang favorite na Final Fantasy, kadalasan ang number 1 na parang mini-meme nila sa Final Fantasy is yung tawa ni Tidus.
Ni Tidus, oo.
yes.
Tidus.
Ha, 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 ha.
Yes.
Kasi yun na napagaya na rin.
Oo, grabe talaga. Never forget.
Diba? Pero parang para sa akin kasi hindi naman siya awkward kasi awkward talaga siya kasi yun yung intention ng scene na maging awkward silang dalawa, pero wala lang, nalulungkot lang ako na parang bakit yung favorite Final Fantasy ko. Anyway.
I understand what you mean.
Ayun, wala lang. Okay.
So, talagang popular talaga. Even among our viewers and listeners, yung FF10. Lalo na yan si Jhaz, nako. Pag tinanong mo yan, FF10 solid yan ever since.
Pwedeng mag-change na tayo ng topic ngayon. Final Fantasy 10 na lang.
Baka maging FF10 episode kasi.
FF10 episode lang. Sige, pigilan ko
Pero
lang yung sarili
sige,
ko.
ano na tayo. Push na tayo dun sa, syempre, yung pinunta natin dito lahat, which is FF14. But before we start, guys, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our page at the Gamesilog Show. Available kami sa Apple Podcast, sa Google Podcast, sa Spotify, sa Anchor, at kahit saan mang streaming platform nyo kami mahanap. Available kami in both video and audio format. So, alright. So, speaking of FF10, move on na tayo ngayon sa FF14. Talunin na natin yung ibang Final Fantasy. So, eto, kasi among all Final Fantasy, though alam namin na nag-exist yung Final Fantasy 11, though parang too late na siyang experience now. Pero among sa lahat ng FF games na na-release na, alam naman natin lahat naman ng FF games is RPG. Itong dalawang tayo masasabi natin yung medyo bold yung approach kasi itong 11 tsaka 14 are tinatawag din na MMO or Massively Multiplayer Online Game. So, parang it's something new for, especially kung let's say hardcore Final Fantasy fan ka, like mahilig ka sa mga story-based game, yung nagle-level up, tapos eventually parang mababalitaan mo na yung yung Final Fantasy is parang magkakaroon ng MMO. Na I think nung na-release to that time is marami na ring MMO games na I think sikat na sikat like Warcraft or kung World of Warcraft yon or yung mga Ragnarok, that time, parang nagkakasabay-sabayan dati na parang, wow, okay, so mukhang bold approach to So, ayun, na parang ito yung isa sa mga games na talagang tinalon namin ni Jhaz pareho and buti na lang, pinayagan yung kaming ma-interview kayo for this one. Kasi talagang zero knowledge kami dito when it comes to this game. So before we start pala guys, no, quick question din. So bago ba kayo naglaro ng FF14, naglalaro din ba kayo ng ibang MMO games?
Ako hindi. This is my first MMO.
First. Okay.
I actually, GTA, but hindi ko siya masyado na-enjoy.
GTA Online?
Yes, sa PS, sa PlayStation 4. Kasi masyadong close to the real world.
Hindi fantasy.
Yes.
Hindi fantasy. Dito talaga ako nag-enjoy talaga Final Fantasy 14.
Hindi pa yun yung di ba? Hindi pa yun yung role play na Final Fantasy na GTA.
Na GTA.
Yung talagang pure online lang, no?
Oo.
Nice,
Saka mas malaki kasi yung community sa PC. Sa PlayStation ako naglalaro.
Totoo.
Yeah.
Nice. So, ikaw naman, Miss V. So, bago ka ba nag-jump in sa FF14, may nalaro ka na bang ibang MMO games dati?
Meron naman. Pero like, kasi, alam mo yun, when I tried the other MMOs, just a background, I started with Ragnarok, of course, kasi that was very big when I was much younger. Pero kasi when I played that, alam mo yung parang, hindi mo naman gets yung konsepto ng MMO. So parang, sasama ka lang kapag may friends ka, tapos, okay, let's do all of these things together. Pero I still didn't understand what it was like to play an MMO. Tapos that later on translated din, nag-Guild Wars 2 din ako nung high school ako. Pero hindi ko pa rin gets kung ano ba to. As in like, yung priority ko before was like, ay, kagawa ko ng character. Tapos, kukuha ko ng mga damit, ayusan ko lang siya. Alam mo yun, tapos sasama lang ako with friends. Kasi, I don't know, pag MMO kasi yung mentality ko talaga before is literally, it's just me in a different world. Pero I really started lang getting into MMO nga nung super pinursuade ako ni Super Warielle na mag Final Fantasy 14.
There we go.
Tsaka yung parang usual dilemma kasi ng mga gamers sa MMO. Kasi ako, before, naglaro din ako ng MMO, parang umikot din yung buhay ko dyan sa Cabal, kung familiar kayo. Parang, almost 3 years yata yun. After kong grumaduate, hindi muna ako nagtrabaho. Naglaro muna ako ng Cabal. Sobrang sablay kasi parang syempre, dapat magtatrabaho ka na, di ba? Dapat kumikita ka na, pero hindi, naglalaro ka ng Cabal. So, ngayon, na adulting na, quote-unquote, di ba? Adulting na tayo. Parang, ang usual dilemma, I think, in general, is sobrang time sink ang MMO eh. Kung mag-invest ka talaga ng time. And then, parang, most likely, pag na-addict ka na, mahirap nang maglaro ng ibang games, kumari single player games or ibang games. Kasi parang sa ganun, yun yung usual dilemma. Pero so, ita-transition ko yun sa paano pa kayo bumalik? Kumbaga, lalo ikaw Miss Vee, na parang ganun nga yung yung parang understanding mo sa MMO. Pero ngayon, na nandiyan ka na rin ulit sa MMO, naglalaro ka na rin na persuade ka ni Super Warielle. Kamusta naman ang buhay? Okay naman.
Gosh. Kamusta nga ba ang buhay? Well, sige, okay, I'll explain muna how I even got into this position in the first place. Kasi,
sige.
no, nag-start kayong pandemic, that's how Warielle and I became friends. Tapos yung newest release kasi nung kasagsagan ng start ng pandemic was FF7 Remake. So parang doon talaga kami nag-spend ng time ni Warielle. As in whenever she streams, kasi nung time hindi pa ako nag-stream, diba? So like, we play simultaneously. Tapos siya yung naka-stream, of course. And then, kunyari, may ginagawa siya na natapos ko na or ganon. We help each other of how to go about it. Tapos syempre, it was inevitable because FF7 Remake was quite short din naman kasi hindi pa naman siya yung full FF7. So natapos na siya. And then, Warielle immediately jumped into FF14 naman. As in, yun na yung next niyang stream. Tapos like, I was watching it. Tapos parang FF14 kasi, to me, as a viewer, it seemed more of like an RPG with friends. As in, parang ganun ko siya, that's how it came across to me. Kasi, like you, or probably like most din naman, skinip ko din kasi yung 11 eh. Kasi, di ba, MMO siya. Hindi siya yung typical sit-down console game na you take your time and enjoy the story. So, skinip ko din yung 11. So, I had no background of FF na MMORPG. So, nung nakita ko siya, parang okay, parang I'm considering playing it, pero panoorin ko na lang muna si Warielle maglaro, ganon. So, eventually, ayun na nga, I was persuaded and the persuasion led to an obsession.
Wow.
Oo, pero kasi ang nangyari was, syempre...
Mas addict na siya sa akin.
As in, I would admit, no lies, mas addict na talaga ako sa kanya because ginawa ko na siyang main game ng streaming page ko actually. As in, mas sinestream ko na siya everyday. And I average 4 hours per stream na. As in, gano'n na siya kalala. Na I just do story content, tapos sa side may mga dungeon. Pero, no regrets naman. Pero alam mo yung experience kasi na parang, okay, I'll start slow kasi I don't know how this game works. Tapos nung time na yon, yung goal ko pa was habulin kung nasan si Warielle sa story. Kasi diba apat yung Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, tapos yung recent one na Shadowbringers. Nasa Heavensward na siya na nag-start ako. Tapos sabi ko, sige, hahabulin ko lang siya. Tapos pag nandun na ako, yun na yun. As in I'll slow down. Alam mo yun, parang chill na, sabay na kami ng pace. But no. No. I'm already in the last expansion.
Yes.
And she is still in the second
expansion?
Yung last expansion is Shadowbringers. Yun yung pinaka-latest. Nandun na ako, tas siya. Nandun pa rin siya kung saan ko siya hinahabol.
Sobrang haba kasi ng game.
So yun, no regrets naman. Pero it's a dark hole.
Ilang hours na yung playtime mo? Inyo pareho.
Oh my gosh.
Kasi
remember the sproutling I was saying a while ago? Hindi na siya sproutling.
Hindi na ako sprout. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that kasi yesterday ko lang na-notice na hindi na ako sprout. Tapos, kasi syempre, like in any MMO, may feature dun where you can check your playtime, diba? Tapos what it counts is the time that you log on and play. Tapos it translates niyo to how many days worth siya. And hours worth, minutes worth. Well, as of yesterday's checking, pero syempre naglaro din ako today, di ba? Pero hindi ko na-chinik, nahiya na ako eh. Pero as of yesterday, naka 30 days na
ako 12 pa lang last time I checked.
Yes, and I
So,
started
more
like
than
roughly
half.
2 months ago, di ba? Parang roughly 2 months ago lang ako nag-start. At naka 1 month na ako worth of playtime.
Ilang oras yun. Grabe.
Grabe. Ayoko na isipin. Huwag na nating isipin.
Parang bumabalik yung PTSD ko dun sa experience ko sa online game na nilaro ko. Kasi ganun din, pag nag-exceed ka na, hindi na yung hours ilalagay eh.
Days na siya.
Days, ganyan. Yung sa akin sa Cabal ko, parang 1 year and ilang months. Grabe. Kasi naging buhay ko talaga yung Cabal noon or yung MMORPG nilalaro ko before. Parang paggising, kain, ganyan. Parang, di ba hindi ako nagtatrabaho nun, sobrang bum talaga ako nun. Parang, gina-justify ko yung gaming time ko na nag-iipon ako ng gamit tapos ibebenta ko. Kasi uso yun before eh.
Yes.
Pag nagahan ka ng mga items sa dungeon, tapos swerte ka, nakakuha ka ng rare na item, perfect weapon, tapos i-ups mo, pwede mong ibenta ng PHP. So, parang doon ko gina-justify yung pagiging tambay ko nung that time. Pero ayoko nang balikan yun. So,
ginawa ko yan sa Dota. Grabe.
Nako po. Ayos, no? Pero syempre, dahil si V naman is na-inspire kay Warielle na, i-take plunge nga itong FF14. Ikaw naman, Warielle, paano naman nag-start yung venture mo sa FF14? Coming from the source this time.
Yeah, funny
The
story. Kung ako yung nag-persuade kay Miss Vee, may nag-persuade din sa
Meron din.
Iba talaga to.
Iba talaga ang power ng word of mouth, no?
Yes,
Talaga.
yes,
talaga
exactly.
to. Tas
Iba yung
parang-
may mentor ka sa game, lalo na sa mga MMO like this one. Nakaka-overwhelm. Walang
Yeah.
tutorial tong game na to. Wala
Yes.
talaga.
Yes.
So, nahirapan ako at first. But thanks to my mentor, I was able to learn how the game works. So, funny story. Hindi actually Final Fantasy 14 yung inattempt kong MMO.
I remember.
Okay.
I was streaming. I wanted to try this MMO called Elder Scrolls Online. Why?
Okay.
Because it's one-time purchase lang. Nag-iisip ako, ano kayang MMO magandang laruin na mura? So there's WoW, there's ESO, there's Final Fantasy 14. Ang pinakamahal is Final Fantasy 14.
Yes.
So I think WoW is more expensive by just a little bit. But ESO was the cheapest one. So I decided to stream Elder Scrolls. But on the day that I streamed it, maintenance pala. As in,
Sakto,
hindi ko
they were on
makalaro
stream.
siya.
They were
And-
on stream.
Yeah, hindi.
On
I
stream
was on
mismo?
stream. On stream talaga. Tapos, ano ba yan? Maintenance. Hindi ako makalaro talaga at all. Nakakala ko mga lang siya, 1 hour. So, I decided to wait a few minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. But then I realized, this is not a 1 hour maintenance thing. This is a whole day maintenance thing. Buti na lang, my fellow streamer friend, si Drakard Plays, he's also a streamer, was there watching me. And then while tinitingnan namin yung maintenance screen ng Elder Scrolls Online, sinabi niya sa akin, ano ba yan, mag-Final Fantasy 14 ka na lang, free trial yon.
It was said in passing lang ha. As in,
Yeah.
chinika lang niya talaga doon.
Oo, I will help you. Kasi I played also Final Fantasy 14 before. Pero hindi ko talaga siya nag-gets. Di ako nag-enjoy. Kasi ang daming, since it was my first MMO. Yung GTA kasi parang hindi ko siya na-consider as MMO. Kasi before you play GTA, may story siya eh. So, you know, the
Yes.
controls, saka may Vice City, nalaro ko din yun. So, iba yung iba yung pagka-overwhelm ko sa Final Fantasy 14. So, inano ko siya, I set it aside muna. But then Drakard Plays came into the picture and doon talaga, we downloaded the game, we streamed again on the same day. And while we were on stream, Drakard Plays was on Discord with me, teaching me the ropes. Na this is it, this is what you do. Ayan, tulungan kita mag-level up. Ito, wag mo nang i-click yung mga side quests. Panira lang yun ang buhay, mag-MSQ ka.
Totoo yan.
Yun pala, kaya pala hindi ko ma-enjoy yung game dati kasi lahat kiniklik ko. Ang
MSQ
dami
is
kasi
main story
talaga.
quest, tama ba?
Yes,
Yes,
MSQ
okay.
is the main story quest. So that is my advice for the new players. Do not
Yes.
click on anything else. Just click on the fire thing. That is your main priority.
Huwag na yung mga
Nakaka-
orange, yung mga
nakakatawa.
red.
Nakakatawa na parang naka-destined ka talaga sa Final Fantasy
Oo.
14.
And I'm so thankful for my friend Drakard for introducing me to the game. Kasi ang ganda niya talaga. Since, lalo na Final Fantasy is my favorite game. And Final Fantasy 14 is like, for me, all the other Final Fantasies, 1, 2, 3, 4, even Kingdom Hearts, all brought into one game, that is Final Fantasy 14. Kasi nandun si Shiva, nandun si Ifrit. So, parang ang sarap lang balikan sa kasi sa mga recent sa 7 remake, 'di ba? Parang hindi in passing lang yung summons, parang
Yes.
trial
Parang
lang
trial
si
lang
Shiva.
siya.
Oo, hindi nga sila real, 'di ba? Virtual lang.
Yeah.
Oo. So dito, sila yung bida actually ni bida kalaban.
May story,
Kalaban
may
sila.
story kasi behind them eh.
Oo.
Yun yung maganda about it.
So ang saya lang, and then you can buy stuff. You can buy Squall outfit, Yuna outfit,
Papagastos
Tito's
ako na ito.
outfit. May
Tito's
Tito's
outfit in the game. May
Tsaka
Chocobo, of course, Chocobo and Mugen.
Also,
nandun.
libre yung
nakakatuwa.
cloud na outfit if nag-subscribe ka. Libre
Mm-mm.
yon.
Tsaka yung nakita ko kasi mayroong class na parang katulad ng itsura ni Oron. Yung samurai ba yun?
Yes!
Yes, meron. May samurai.
Yes.
Yung, sabi ko,
Nile-level
"Yan,
up ko siya right now.
Diyos ko po. Papagastos ako na
It
ito.
all
Yeah.
brought in the memories. Kasi nawala yung classes sa FF15 di ba? Yung 4 na F4 guys.
They have their own thing eh.
Yeah! Lahat sila lalaki. Tapos wala silang class. Wala yung warrior, wala yung white mage, wala yung
May
wala
skill
yung
set
dark
na
knight.
sila.
Oo. Dito sa FF14, meron. And you can do all of it.
All of it with one character.
So, yun yung
Galing.
nagustuhan ko. And then, when I learned the ropes, ayan na, the addiction started.
Yan. Sige, sige.
Doon ko na-realize na this game is forever. Kasi Drakard Place was playing this game since 2013 or 14. And
Grabe.
right now, he's still playing. He's still subscribed. So that's how many years.
Mostly because of us.
Talk about dedication, no? Pero,
Wala.
grabe, the jump mo na sa kanikwento niyo sa totoo lang. Parang kinikilabutan na ako na gusto ko talaga i-try yung game. Ewan ko si Jhaz kung ganado na din.
Ginaganahan ako. Ang iniisip ko talaga, unang-una siya, mga time sink, di ba? Kailangan mo mag-invest ng
Mhm.
time. Tapos tayo mostly, kadalasan, di ba, nilalako tayo mga single-player games, kunwari, yung mga story-driven games. Pero, ang isang pool kasi netong isang hila, Tagalogin ko na lang, isang hila ng game sa akin is, pag nababasa ko yung mga reviews, hindi siya MMO na parang, isang tabi mo na lang yung story, parang kadalasan ng sinasabi nila is maganda talaga yung story kahit
Yes.
MMO
Yes.
siya. Which
Yes.
is sa akin, parang foreign siya kasi katulad nung Cabal or Ragna or Ran, ano pa ba yung mga online games or MMORPG na nilaro natin before. Wala naman tayong pakialam sa story eh. Ang habol lang natin is yung gameplay loop, yung palakasan, pagandahan ng damit, ng suot. Pero yung tapos dito sa PvP dito sa FF14 maganda daw yung story talaga. So paano nag-work yung magandang story sa genre na MMORPG?
Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Oo.
Nagagandahan kayo?
Oo, sobra.
That is nothing
Aside sa
compared
ending,
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones, the good parts on steroids.
na
Oh.
you're inside their world.
Nice.
And the good part about it kasi is, apart from what Super Warielle said, is parang the game always has a way to give you that shock factor na parang you think ito na yung mangyayari tapos biglang may something. Like all the time.
Nice. Pero, kumbaga parang may doon, kunwari, di ba syempre, iba't iba ng player, di ba? Kunwari, ako, gagawa ko ng character, tapos i-experience ko yung story na yon. Doon sa story na yon, iba-iba kayo ng may experience sa story or isa lang din? Or may chance na magkaiba? kunwari parang optional na story is ito yung path na tatahakin ko, tapos yung isang player, ito yung path na tatahakin niya, or same lang din kayo ng may experience na story?
Yung main story, isa lang.
Okay.
But yung mga others, yung mga stories ng other classes, iba-iba. But you can still experience it.
Yes.
So may mga kalisi-kalisi din dyan, mga ganyan.
Ang maganda kasi dito siya parang I mean all of us naman, syempre the main story is essentially the same kasi syempre meron kang role as in bakit ka ba nandun sa world na yon, ganon. So parang you also get to meet all of these NPCs with rich stories, ganon. But what really makes it a different experience every time, like Super Warielle said, is parang di ba syempre you select a class when you enter. Tapos, apart from the MSQ kasi, ang isang advice na nabigay sa amin and also what we can give you as well is you really play the class and job story quests. Kasi apart from the main story quest, very rich din yung story of the job that you pick kasi may sarili siyang storyline.
Nice.
So that is also how you get a variety in the experience na parang okay, for example, Warielle and I started with different classes. Nag-start siya as an Arcanist, tapos ako Black Mage. So we went through the same main story quest, pero yung job quest ko, nag-share kami ng mga nangyari kasi magkaiba yung nangyari dun sa kanya, dun sa nangyari sa akin. And the nice thing about that is yung first 10 levels, I think, of your story, you start off at a different city depending on the job that you started with. So yung characters that bring you into the world, introducing you to everything, is different for her as an Arcanist and for me as a Black Mage. Kasi iba kami ng city ng sinimulan. So doon pa lang, sa start pa lang, you see that the story really diverges kahit na it's essentially the same main story quest.
Ang ganda.
Galing.
Laro na ako ngayon.
Pero as we said before, you can do everything in one character. You can do all classes in one character. So I can still experience the Black Mage side of the story, and she can still experience the Arcanist side of the story. Hindi siya
limited.
Limited. Oo, yung ito na yung pinili ko, hindi ko na ma-experience yung story.
So parang pwede kang mag-change ng job at anytime.
Yeah.
Level 10 actually, when you get access to the traveling thing, you can unlock the other jobs.
Nice.
Yeah, and since sinabi nyo kanina na iniisip nyo yung achievement something sa PlayStation, 'di ba? Meron actually achievement if you max level all of the jobs.
Saka visible siya, may title ka. So
may title ka.
You can flex
may
it.
free mount siya.
Question, pag kunwari naka-Black Mage ako, pero yung mga skills na magagamit ko, Black Mage lang.
When you're using the Black Mage, yes.
Pag ginagamit ko yung Black Mage. Ano ba siya parang, kunwari, ano ba yung magandang example na kunwari yung kung lalaro nyo yung FF13 Lightning Returns, nagpapalit siya ng parang dress code, di ba? Instantaneous ba yung pagpalit niya or kunwari, kailangan ko munang umuwi ng town, magpapalit ako ng job, tapos bago ako makapunta sa dungeon, or kahit nasa dungeon ako, pwede ako magpalit-palit ng classes?
If you're in a dungeon or if you're in battle, you can't change classes. Pero if you're in a normal setting, easy lang to switch.
Kahit nasa
classes.
jungle ka lang, nasa labas ng city, pwede ka mag-change ng job.
Stig. Pero ang dilemma doon, I think, yung gears na naipon mo, no? Kunwari, hindi siya applicable sa ibang job.
Yes, it's different for all classes. So another dilemma that you will go through is your inventory space.
Another 1,000 hours ng playtime.
My gosh.
So may parang may parang weight na meron ka lang maximum amount of weight na pwede mong i-carry with you, or slots. May ganang mechanic din pala siya.
Hindi weight, as in one item per slot.
Ganun siya. Kasi in essence, you have, syempre, separate yung slots for gear, and then separate yung, kunyari, mga potions, mga food, mga extra stuff. Yon, separate siya. Pero limited pa rin siya. And at the same time, parang meron, kasi yung system dito, di ba, when we think of like a chest where you can store stuff, or like a bank, dito you have parang what we call retainers. So, dalawa silang tao na libre. And then they have limited number of slots then for you to deposit stuff. Pero yung mga yon, as in, para talaga siyang deposit stuff na you leave it with them. Ganon.
If you want more space, you have
Ayan
to
na.
pay.
Yes, you have to pay.
Ayan na.
Ayan na.
Yan na ngayon papasok yung ano natin. Transition yung next question natin. Kasi syempre, with that na, ayan nga, nabibigyan niyo na kami ng insight. So parang gusto na namin mag-start maglaro. But dito kami nagkaroon ng matinding roadblock, especially ako. Kasi, share ko lang ulit, no? The time na nakita ko yung stream mo, actually, even before the time na nakita ko yung stream mo, Warielle, is talagang for the longest time, gusto ko nang i-try laruin to. Pero, nahirapan ako in terms of registration na for some reason, na-figure out ko na lang siya later on eh. Siguro, mga 2 months ago, doon ko lang na-figure out eh. Pero nung nilaro ko siya, siguro, ang pinili kong job that time is Lancer ba o Dragoon?
Oh my gosh.
Lancer. And then
Lancer.
it upgrades to a Dragoon.
A Dragoon. Yes.
Lancer na parang level 10, level 11 lang yung naabot ko. Pero parang for some reason na fan naman ako ng Final Fantasy, like familiar ako sa mga nakikita ko na parang races and whatnot. Yung parang nabigyan pa nga ako ng intro dun sa parang crystal eh, na pag may parang main boss doon tapos parang marami kayo na i-approach kayo ng crystal. Ang ganda na ako sa part na yun. Tapos parang naisip ko tuloy, parang hindi pa rin siya nagko-connect. So feeling ko may mali akong ginagawa sa paglalaro nito. So ngayon, ang question namin sa inyo is paano ba mag-start dito sa ganitong MMO? Kasi malaking commitment tong FF14 eh, for sure. So,
Yes.
how to start? Kasi particularly sa pag-register ba or ano ba yung may bibigay niyo sa amin na tips para maging smooth naman yung pagsimula namin dito sa game?
Sige. Okay, let's start with registration.
Yes. Because Marielle helped me with this.
Registration kasi, actually, ako rin, I had the hard time. Starting the game pa lang, wala pa ako sa character creation. Downloading the file pa lang, nahirapan ako because of our situation here in the Philippines and Square Enix. Si Square Enix kasi walang country na Philippines in their option.
Yes.
So, ang turnaround doon, hindi rin ako maka-register at first. I had to ask for help in the Final Fantasy 14 Philippines group. One thing, before you start talaga, I would recommend you joining that group first. Because nandun may tutorial sila actually doon kung paano i-download yung game. Kasi if you don't follow their instructions, you won't be able to register your account or you won't be able to download even the free trial because of the country issue nga na anti-hack or something. Kasi they-detect nila na, hindi ka naman United States eh. But you're using the internet of you said you're from the United States but you're using the internet of Philippines or another country. So, feeling nila hinahack mo. So, what you do there is you use your data, 3G, 4G, LTE. Sa pag-create pa lang ng account.
Tama.
Yun talaga, use data. Do not use Wi-Fi talaga. Pero from what I've heard, medyo nalilesen na yung ganong issues. Pero to be safe, use your data in creating an account. Until they give you the email link to download the game. Yes. As in data talaga all throughout, even when you buy the full version. when they give you the code, you input the code using data.
Yun nga actually naging issue ko kasi parang nung nag-try ako mag-register for the first time, gamit ko kasi nung computer. So talagang for some reason ayaw niyang kumagat na parang nagsasend naman ng verification code sa email ko yung Square Enix. Pero kapag in-enter ko na siya, ayaw din. So kaya ang ginawa ko din nun, nagtanong din ako sa FF14 Philippines nun. And sinagot nila, try ko daw mag-create ng account sa phone using mobile data. So nung tinry ko yun, ayun pumasok. So yun siguro, kaya pala akala ko sa end ko lang yun nangyari. Pero it turns out na ganun pala ang practice sa Philippines. Pag gusto mo mag-start, sa phone ka gagawa ng account. Oo
Mm-mm.
nga
Kaya
eh.
sila nag-post na ng tutorial, ng talagang PDF file dun sa Final Fantasy 14 Philippines. So, very thankful ako. Actually, yung account ko ngayon, sila yung gumawa. The Gmail that I'm using, si Miss Kimmy Navarro, yung admin ng Final Fantasy 14 Philippines, yung gumawa. Siya yun rin yung nag-input ng full version ko. Ganun ka-helpful yung mga yung
Very
group
helpful
natin
sila.
ng
Mm-mm.
community.
So, ganyan, no? So since nabanggit nyo nga kanina yung parang pag-enter ng code for paid, no? So, alam naman natin na primarily free ang FF14, pero may limitation siya, di ba? So, pwede niyo ba explain sa mga listeners natin yung ano ba yung limitation kapag, let's say, nag-try kang mag-experience ng game on a trial period lang? Ano ba yung mga limitations mo?
Okay. Hindi naman a lot. Actually, hindi mo siya mafe-feel as much until you are already at level cap, I think. I would like to believe so.
Okay.
So, yung limitation nun is first, your max level is only until level 60. Kasi if you purchase the game with where it is currently, the max level is technically level 80. Kasi what they did was, di ba, for yung games, that's the base game, then 3 expansions. So the base game, initially when it was released, it's level capped at 50. And then plus 10 per expansion. Kaya siya level 80 yung max cap right now. So what they did with how the free trial is right now is they extended it na ang level cap mo is 60. But before kasi daw it was 35. Tama ba?
Yeah, 35.
35 siya before.
Okay.
Ayun.
Very good time to start now because it was just last month that they expanded the free trial version. Before last month or 2 months ago, it was only until level 35. ARR, the base game. But recently, which is so amazing for FF to do, for Square Enix to do, they expanded the free trial until the first expansion, which is Heavensward. Kaya naging level 60 na yung
May nabasa nga ako na parang tweet or parang article na sobrang confident ni Yoshi P para ibigay yung first expansion kasi alam niya, parang confident siya na pag na-try ito ng mga gamers talagang magugustuhan nila. Parang ganun yung... Kaya parang sabi, grabe tong Yoshi P na to. Tangent lang din. Napanood nyo ba yung documentary tungkol sa FF14? Yung, kasi diba, sobrang
yung how
sablay.
it was before.
Oo, sobrang sablay. Tapos kung
kaya
paano siya
naging
sinave.
Realm Reborn.
Oo, ang galing nun.
It
Di ba
was
parang
literally reborn.
May meteor na bumagsak, tama ba? Parang dun sa old game. Wala lang, ang galing. Ang galing lang.
Ang galing,
So,
no?
ni-excite ako kay Yoshi P. Tapos, siguro ita-transition ko din yung question na to na, di ba si Yoshi P yung parang director and producer ng FF14? So, ngayon parang magiging quote-unquote busy na siya kasi siya rin yung producer ng FF16. Sa tingin nyo, ano yung magiging future ng FF14? Kung ganun na, o parang tuloy-tuloy pa rin ba? Magkakaroon pa rin ba ng panibagong expansion sa tingin nyo? Or anything na madadagdag dun sa content ng FF14?
Okay. Well, for me at least, kasi prior to 16 being announced na siya nga yung producer and all that, they actually released, kasi yun na nga, ever since I started FF14, I was very invested in it. So like, yung tipong, when they have what they call producer live letters, where they announce the next expansion, diba? So when I got into the game, 5.3 pa lang yung patch at the time. So I was able to witness the producer live letter ng 5.35, which is where we're currently at. And that happened before 16 was announced dun sa PlayStation trial, PS5 trial. Trailer, I mean. So, nung patch reveal na yon, when they announced all that was gonna be added to what we're currently experiencing right now, they said na they're actually gonna close the story arc of where we are in the next expansion, which is 6.0. Okay. So parang lahat ng mga tao like, oh my gosh, it's the end of Final Fantasy 14. Like, ano na, what do we do? And then after that, he immediately said, but just because we're closing this story arc does not necessarily mean that that's the only story arc that you're gonna get to experience.
Galing.
So parang like, hala, ano na? Because if you think about it, if you imagine yung duration, no, this story arc that we're currently having will span 5 games. Kasi it's the base game, the 3 na release na expansion, plus yung lalabas next year. So that's gonna be 5 games. And that like went through a 10 going on 11-year journey. So imagine if they create a new storyline. If ganun din siya ka-expansive. Like it's just gonna keep going on for forever. Diba?
Totoo. Kasi yun yung isa sa mga, I think, personally, yun yung question ko na, let's say, isa doon yung parang sobrang late na kami kasi ang dami ng expansion. And then, isang question din is, hanggang kailan ba to? Kung baga parang madadagdagan pa ba siya ng content? Or iiwan na ba to ni Yoshi P? Meron na ba siyang bagong baby? Parang ganyan. So, kung ganyan pala, meron pa rin talagang parang quote-unquote promise na magtutuloy. So, parang okay pa rin talaga. Okay pa rin talagang laruin.
Yes, no? So, speaking of expansions, no? Kasi parang nasabi niyo nga kanina na parang sa free trial, kasama na yung isang expansion, then meron siyang 3 pa na yun na yung babayaran mo, di ba? So, okay lang ba explain nyo din sa amin yung pay system nila? So, ano ba yung mga binabayaran dito? Kasi, like, apart sa expansion itself, parang balita ko, kailangan mo rin bayaran yung pag-login mo eh. Tama ba?
Yes.
Ayan.
So, at paano naman siya nag-work?
So, in order to play the game fully, of course, may free trial. But when you can actually stay on the free trial if you don't want to experience the Stormblood and Shadowbringers expansions. Kung hindi ka naman curious sa story nila, you can stay actually forever in the free trial. But if you want to exceed the level limit, which is 60, you want to become level 70 or you want to be level 80, you have to buy the base game and the base game to
parang full opening siya because apart kasi doon sa level cap, you're also limited to 300,000 gil lang. Diba?
Okay.
Saka
So,
you
yun
can
lang yung
join free companies.
Yeah, which is the guild system.
Minor lang naman.
Tsaka yung bentahan,
Ay, oo.
yung market board,
Yung market.
yon. You don't have access to that if you're in the free trial.
But
sa
if
mga
you want
dungeons
to
din or
experience... dungeons wala naman.
Wala, you can experience that. Until nga yung first expansion. Kasi that is where your experience ends. Kasi, just going off tangent a little bit, the level cap is not just on your level as a character because the main story quests then, they have a level eh. So parang, as you proceed, kunyari, nasa level 50 ka, level 50 main story quest siya. Ganon siya. So parang when you reach level 60 level cap, that also means you cannot move on to a main story quest that is level 61 onwards. Ganon.
So going back to the payments,
Yes.
you have to pay first for the full game or the expansions, and then there's a monthly subscription of around 700 to 800 pesos per month, depending on how long you're willing to commit. So if it's just 1 month, it's around, if you convert, it's around 750 or 800 pesos. But if you opt to go 3 months, it's gonna be 700 pesos na lang. And if 6 months, magiging 600 something. So cheaper siya. Pero you have to pay the full amount na.
Okay. So speaking of region din, no? Kasi syempre kailangan natin bayaran, and nung time na nag-register ako sa Square Enix Store, parang may mga region siya from EU or UK, tapos US. So dito ba sa Pinas, ano ba i-recommend dyan na country na pipiliin natin? Like US ba tayo or yung UK ba dapat yung pipiliin natin? EU ba yun?
For me, for me personally, I chose North American version. It's
North
less
America.
complicated kasi. But other people, what they do is iba kasi yung currency and iba yung sale, iba yung promotion sa mga ibang countries. Like nung Black Friday sale. So North America held the Black Friday sale just a few days ago. So
Weekend. Yeah, last weekend.
FF14 was 50% off.
As in complete edition,
Oo,
50% off siya
$30
last week.
na lang siya imbis na $60. Pero sa Japan, hindi siya on sale. So, ikaw rin, di ba? Yung region ng game doesn't matter. It's yung yung elemental, yung data center yung
Yes.
medyo nagmamatter. Pero accessible naman despite the region of your game. But I also recommend buying the game in the Square Enix store instead of Steam.
Bakit?
Ang explanation nila is baka hindi ma-carry over yung free trial account mo if you buy it on Steam. Pero I don't really know much about it. It's just that's what people tell me to do. Na you buy it sa Square Enix store. It's the same lang. The price is the same naman eh.
Question, no? Kasi PlayStation Master Race ako. Paano pag sa PlayStation? Kasi
pag sa PlayStation.
Kasi sorry. Kasi yung account ko, meron akong dalawang account. Yung main account ko, Hong Kong. Doon yung mga trophy ko, mga collection, mga games. Pero kadalasan yung mga digital games ko is US account kasi doon madalas nagsisale eh. So ang ginagawa ko, bumibili ako sa US account ko, then nilalaro ko siya sa Hong Kong account ko, which is yung main account ko. Kung let's say sa PlayStation 4 ako maglalaro, nagmamatter ba kung sakaling sa US account ako bibili tapos sa Hong Kong account ko siya lalaruin? Pwede ba yung ganong setup kung sakali? Or
Well, ako kasi I'm not so sure with how PlayStation works. Pero kasi I've also asked yung mga free company mates namin ni Super Warielle, especially those who play on PlayStation. And what they told me kasi is I mean, I guess it makes sense kasi 'di ba sa PC there's 3 account regions. There's Europe, there's North America, and then there's Japan. Tapos I don't know, I guess this topic was actually never brought up, but then whenever I ask them about the PlayStation account, it's always either US or European account, yung always nilang pinag-uusapan. And I guess that really explains it, na parang you really have to have an account that is either in Europe, US, or Japan. Kasi in essence, you log into it to play the game eh. So, yung
Makes
US account namin sa PC is essentially the US account in the PlayStation network.
So,
pero game-wise, you're all connected even if different regions yung game nyo. Ano lang siya, sa account lang siya nagmamatter.
Yes.
Na your free
pricing.
trial, the connection between the free trial and your yung binili mong full version ng game. Doon lang siya kailangan strict na if you started with the North American version, you have to buy the North American full version.
Yes.
Pero pwede rin
in-game,
crossplay siya, no?
Yes,
PS4.
it's crossplay, cross-progression.
Yes.
And hindi ka lang makakalaro with people in a different data center. Yun lang. Pero you can, yun lang yung limitations. Pero here in the Philippines, most are in the elemental data server, which is
Japan.
Kasi yun yung closest eh. Kasi malagi na daw kapag pinili mo yung Europe or North America.
When you say data center, anong ibig sabihin niya?
Okay, there's kasi 2 things that you have to take note of when you're starting your game, as in creation part. So, there is what we call a data center and a server. So, yung data center, that is essentially Japan and EU.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure with the particulars of the names, pero may ibang name yung data center. And then within each data center, you have 8 servers.
Okay.
So, it's just really a matter of nasan yung friends mo, ano yung gusto mong i-try, or essentially also, ano yung server wherein you can effectively communicate with other players. Kasi you're gonna be staying there for majority of your play. I mean, you can world travel. Pero, syempre, you still go back to your server. So, dun siya mag-decide. So, as for me, I went with the Japan data center because, yun nga, it's fast, mas madaling mag-connect din. Although, I'll explain later kasi honestly, I also use a VPN para mas mabilis. Pero, yun nga, it's faster kasi yung mag-connect if you're in Japan kasi, alam mo, kapitbahay lang natin sila eh. Andiyan lang sila eh. Oo. So, nandun na ako. And then, when it came to selecting the server naman, syempre, my qualifications were, nasan yung friends ko? And second, saan yung mas maraming Pinoy? And third, saan ako mas makikipag-usap with other people? So, I only use, of course, English and Tagalog, Filipino. So, those are the things that I really considered in deciding kung saang server ako.
And saan bang server usually madaming Pinoy? Or saan ba kayo madalas tumatambay? Sa NA servers ba kayo? Japan or Europe?
Well, yung sa data center nga that I explained, which was Japan and in Europe, you're limited to that data center. So when you world travel, you only travel to the other servers within that data center.
Within
So
Japan, for example. Okay.
So since nasa Japan ako, I can only go to the other servers in the Japanese data center. So with regards naman to your question, tatlo
Yes.
yung top daw na pinakamaraming Pinoy and easiest to communicate in English. So the top pa rin is of course Tonberry, which is where Super Warielle originally came from. And then next is Atomos, which is where we currently are in right now. And then the third is Kojata. Yun. May
Lahat yun sa
sarili-
Japan.
Yes,
Yes.
lahat Japan.
So hindi ba yung parang pagpasok namin doon, puro Chekwa na yung mga
Ay,
nagchat?
hindi.
Hindi,
Puro
mas maraming ang Pinoy.
Mas maraming Pinoy.
Oo.
Pero you don't really talk to people there in-game.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay.
Parang, ano ba, how do we explain it?
Parang di sa kagaya ng Ragnarok na nag-i-spam ng mga message sa message box.
Hindi,
Walang
hindi.
ganon.
Technically, it's still a single-player game. It's just when you go to a dungeon, your party, you party with other people. Yun lang talaga. Pero you don't really talk in a dungeon eh. There's no
Yes.
time. It's so
Right.
intense.
Parang, ano ba, before kasi I joined a free company, I don't use the chat talaga. Unless, for example, ini-invite ako ni Marielle maglaro. Kasi syempre, pag wala pa ako sa free company, it's either I queue in dungeons or trials with random people or I invite them. Kasi at that point, she experienced the dungeon that I was about to experience pa lang. So, the people who I talk to really are sila talaga. Pero kapag sumali ka na ng free company, which is the guild system in free FF14, sila lang yung nakakausap mo din. So parang ako, with Super Warielle, we joined a Filipino free company. So Tagalog pa rin essentially yung usapan namin doon.
Free company, guild siya. Yun
Yes, yun yung guild system.
Yun yung tawag.
Nice. So, sige, no? Galing. So, at least may idea na kami kung paano siya i-start, no? Pero, ako kasi, no, that time na naglalaro kasi, nung that time na inattempt kong siyang ilaro, is isa sa mga na-realize ko rin na reason kaya parang hindi siya nagko-connect sa akin is dahil solo lang ako. Wala akong, hindi kagaya siguro ni Miss Vee na time na nag-start siya, kasama niya si Miss Warielle or si Miss Warielle na may tumutulong sa kanya. So sa akin kasi parang solo lang, kaya parang di ko alam kung anong gagawin ko. Basta accept lang ako ng accept ng quest. Basta yung makita ako ng exclamation mark, ina-accept ko na eh. Hanggang dumami yung list ko. So, sa tingin niyo ba as a newbie, dapat ba pag mag-invest kami ng time sa game na to, is dapat ba maghanap kami ng mga ka-party na magbo-boost sa amin? Or you think na kaya naman to laruin solo?
Hindi na kayo kailangan maghanap. Nandito kami ni Miss
Yun, no?
Yes. Yes.
Ayos.
Naka-record to.
Oo
yan.
naman. And actually, one of the reasons then why a lot of people want to help new players is may bonus kasi yung rewards.
Kaya pala.
Oo,
Di,
meron
joke lang.
din yon. No, pero that's completely unrelated. No other offering we help you.
Oo. So, ayos. Sige, pag nag-start tayo, lapit na lang kami sa inyo. Kasi talagang ang hirap eh. Like,
Mahirap talaga.
Mahirap.
Although may kilala akong tao na mas enjoy niya na learning the ropes all by himself. But as for me, talagang I really needed someone to help me. Yun nga yung una kong playthrough, nag-stop ako, 'di ba? Nung 2018, I think mga November. So di ko talaga mag-get. So nag-stop ako. But then when my friend Drakard helped me learn the ropes, ayun na, tuloy-tuloy na. Ang hirap,
Pero
sobrang overwhelming kasi talaga ng game.
oo, as in. Pero kayo na nag-start din kayo as free trial o rekta, binili nyo na yung buong expansion bago kayo nag-start?
Ako, free trial. Pero hindi ko inubos eh. Half ng game, binili ko na siya. Si Miss Vita na yun.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is a very stressful story going back to that dark
Sige.
week. Okay. So like I said nga earlier, si Super Warielle kasi she started in a different server, which is in Tonberry. Kasi that was, of course, yun nga. Kasi diba suggestion niya earlier, yung friend namin, dun siya pinapasok. So, sabi nga ni Super Warielle is join the FB group, di ba? Because that's where you really learn if you don't have a legit friend to assist you. So, syempre, when I was starting also, nagsa-scout din ako na parang, and it was unanimous in that group na Tonberry is really the server with the most Filipinos. So, parang, okay, sige, doon na lang ako. Nandun naman silang lahat. But, with that reputation of Tonberry being the server with the most Filipinos, syempre, sa sobrang dami ng people, you know how MMOs go, na parang kapag the server has too much people, it's locked na from creating other characters, diba? Naging congested na siya. So, nung time na yon, when I was creating my character, they were recommending you create your character ng madaling araw. As in, tipong mga 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. levels. Kasi, doon tulog yung mga Pinoy, doon tulog yung mga
Doon
Japanese.
open yung server.
Doon nag-open yung world. So,
Okay.
fun fact, I actually created 4 characters. So, yes. Kasi, I'm the type of player na kapag I start the game creating a character and I spend like an hour or so creating my character. Kasi ganun talaga ako. Tapos kapag naglalaro ako na hindi ko na-feel yung vibe, as in like it doesn't sit well with me, I stop and then I delete a character and then I create a new one.
Okay.
So, when I first time around, free trial pa ako nito, na parang, oy, okay, sige, I'll create a character. And sakto, open yung Tonberry. Kasi parang mga 3:30 a.m. ata ako no, nag-login. Kasi nag-alarm talaga ako, nagpagising ako, na parang, okay, sige, I'll try. Kasi nandun naman na sila eh. So I created my first character, which was an elf. An Elizen. So sabi ko, okay, kasi elf naman ako sa ibang games. Parang okay lang siguro. And then I was playing and then, ay, parang hindi ko feel. So the next day, dinelete ko siya kasi hindi ko feel. So, the next day, sabi ko, hindi, gagawa ako. Feel ko open pa rin siya. So, the next day, same time, open pa rin naman, miraculously. So, I created naman an aura, which is parang half dragon, half human. So, I created that. Tagal ko nag-character creation. Sumali ulit ako kay Miss Marielle kasi the following day, nag-stream siya nun eh. So, like, nagpatulong ako with level up. And then that night, parang sabi ko, parang may mali. Like, hindi pa rin talaga. So, I deleted that. And then, nag-create ulit ako ng character. It was Mikote naman, which is half cat, half human. So, dinesign ko sa parang, feel ko ito na talaga, ang ganda. Tapos, nung papasok na ako, as in the same time as the past 2 days, closed na siya. As in like, ano na talaga. So, I went dun sa Facebook groups, tapos humingi ako na parang, okay, so closed na siya ng ganitong time. Do you recommend other hours to check? So they gave me like hours to check kasi okay lang. So I literally spent mga 5 days waiting for the server to open. Na never nag-open. As in never.
Until now.
Until now, closed pa rin siya ha. As in ganun siya kalala. Tapos, ang na-recommend di naman na-recommend, parang sinuggest nung isa kong friend na it's possible daw kasi na mas priority nila yung mga naka-full version. Na maybe it open full version ka. Which, of course, if you think about it, it would make sense na parang baka nga mas priority nila yung full version. Free trial ako gumawa ng others, di ba? So, of course, as the very impulsive person that I am, pinili ko na yung complete edition as in until the end that has been released, which is Shadowbringers. Kasi syempre, if you're gonna buy it, edi, di ba, bibili mo na rin naman na talaga yung what is already available. So, kasi itong game na to, if you buy the full version right now, they give you 2 additional races. Kasi si FF14, si Square Enix, they really try to make you try new things. So they added 2 new races sa expansion na to. So if you buy the full version, right now, unlocked na yung dalawang yon from the start pa lang, as in ARR, which other people didn't experience before Shadowbringers came out. Sakto, nandun yung race ni Fran from FF12.
Oo, yung rabbit, no?
Yung bunny girl. Favorite ko si Fran from FF12. As in, like, oh my God, like, gustong-gusto ko talaga siya. So, ginawa ko yung character na yon. So, ito na. Ang tagal ko ulit gumawa ng character. As in, humingi pa ako ng tulong kay Miss Marielle kung do I go with the cat girl that I created kasi sobrang ganda rin niya or the bunny girl na binili ko naman na. As in, ito na talaga yon. So, yon. As in, na-decide na and everything. So, ito na. Abang na naman ako. Pero wala pa rin, men. As in, wala talaga.
Close talaga siya.
Close talaga siya. So, parang low-key, feel ko na budol ako ng very intense. Na parang binili ko na eh. So, I have to play it. Sakto, doon sa isang post doon sa group, where I asked about the server of like how it opens and everything. This also exposes how the community in Final Fantasy XIV is very friendly, as in very open, very welcoming. May isang person who commented dun sa comment ko and said na, sa Atomos ka na lang pumunta because if you go there, ipapasok na kita agad sa guild ko when you have access to that. So parang, okay, as in choosy pa ba ako? Ito na as in, di ba, I would have help already when it opens up for me. So parang hindi ko na kailangang isipin. So nag-Atomos na lang ako. And ayun, true enough na nag-open up yung guild system kasi syempre you unlock the joining a guild as you level up in the main story. So yun, pinasok nila ako doon. So anong nangyari naman, si Super Warielle yung dinedemonyo ko
Mag-isa na lang ako.
Oo, siya na lang yun nandun.
Kasi yung mentor ko, si Drakard, hindi na rin siya masyadong naglalaro.
Iningintay nila yung mga patch, di ba?
Oo.
Oo.
So mag-isa ako. And then we have another friend. And actually, we were able to invite a few people din. And since hindi nga sila makapasok sa world ko, which is Stormblood, lahat sila nasa Atomos na. So mag-isa ako. Wala akong kausap. Although may free company naman din doon. Very helpful din. Iba pag kilala mo in real life. IRL.
Oo naman.
So, what happened was, ako na yung pumunta, nag-change world ako from Tonberry to Atomos.
Yes.
Free ba yung change world or may
It's free if you're from a congested world to a preferred world.
Yes.
But if it's not in any of those categories, you have to pay, I think, $10. So, and then they give you something. They give you gold feathers. Yes. So, I mean, my friends are there. May free items. So, ba't pa ako mag-iisip? So, when nung di na ako nag-isip. Hinintay ko na lang mag-open yung PC and then nag-transfer na ako.
Yes. So, balikan lang kami.
My previous free company.
Galing.
Ayun.
Nakaka-excite rin
Ano yung free company na nag-invite sa'yo na yun? Yung nag-comment sa'yo na, uy, pag lumipat kayo sa Atomos, invite ka agad kita.
Yes, of course, shoutout ko na yan. It's Loopy, my free company. They're actually, I think, the top free company in our server right now. Oo, kasi, syempre, I mean, as the other MMOs go, na meron ranking system yung mga free company based on the activity of your members, what you guys do, yung mga raids and all of that. So I think right now, top 1 naman sa server namin.
Nakakatawa, no? Kasi kanina, nung hindi pa tayo nag-record, nag-usap kaming tatlo pa. Tapos yung Loopy kasi, sabi ko familiar yun Naglalaro kasi ako before ng Monster Hunter World. Tapos sila rin yung kumupkup sa akin, yung Loopy.
Yes.
And parang yung Reneris lang kasi yung natandaan ko na name.
Yes.
Parang siya rin, nandun din siya sa inyo, di ba?
Yes. They started actually from MH World.
Yun lang, nakakatawa lang. So, baka, kung maglaro kami, I think welcome naman kami sa inyo.
Yes!
Actually, recruiter ako doon.
Ay, ayun naman pala
No joke. Oo, ako yung nagsasabi na, may free company ka na ba? Sali ka sa Oo.
Wala namang limit ng ng number ng recruits doon sa isang guild. Like, example, maximum of 100 members. Wala namang ganun.
Pero malaki.
Oo, malaki siya. Na parang what tends to happen is some free companies impose on their own na parang okay, we want to limit our members to ganitong people lang, ganun. Pero yung sa amin, wala, happy lang kami dito. Sali lang kayo.
Nice.
Saka what's good about Loopy is even if for example, you wanna take a break, di ka maglalaro for a year, okay lang, they won't kick you.
They won't kick you.
You will still have a home to go back to. Kasi
unless you tell them.
They have life outside the gaming world.
Paano yung pag naglalaro kayo, naka-Discord din kayo?
Minsan.
Oo.
Tamang kwentuhan lang, ganyan. Kasi, hindi ko na kasi naabutan sa MMO before kasi nung nag-MMO kami, puro chat lang, di ba? Chat. Ngayon kasi, syempre, yung technology nag-improve na lalo. Pwede nang mag-voice chat, ganyan. So, parang ang saya. Discord, ganyan.
Lalo na kapag kunyari nag-hunt kayo ng items in a dungeon or in a raid na parang low lang yung drop rate. Imagine 8 kayo, 'di ba? So parang gusto niyo lahat kayo meron. So while you're doing the grind, nag-uusap na lang din kayo sa Discord.
Paano yung sistema pala ng ganun? Na ano ka lang no, kasi nabanggit mo yung sa dungeon kasi usually ganyan yung mahirap, 'di ba? Kunwari, isa lang yung rare item tapos pare-pareho kayo nang hinahunt. Paano yung sistema nun?
Oh gosh, okay. So I guess
roll dice?
Yes.
No, oo, pero the good thing about it kasi is parang, FF14 nga has been here for what, 10 years, I think? So if you're a new player na, at least sa free company ko, no, na gusto mong i-hunt yung old content, more often than not, meron na yung iba,
Okay.
'di ba? So for example, nung time na nagpatulong ako mag-hunt ng mounts, na rare drop nga siya. As in ang lala talaga ng pagka-drop niya. So, rare kung rare. As in,
Oo.
yung tipo, we really allot hours na parang, tara, tulungan ka namin, ikunin natin yung mount. Tapos, at that time, I think 4 kaming need pa yung mount na yun. So, as in, kasi FF has this system of need, greed, and pass.
Pass.
Sa loot.
Stig.
So, yung mga mount, syempre need na siya kasi everyone needs the mount, di ba?
Oo.
Tapos, when you click need kasi, mag-random number generator siya from 1 to 99.
Okay.
Tapos yun, as in highest wins.
Mm.
Ganun siya. Oo, yun yung loot system sa dungeons. And
Pero
Pag-grade-
if the
pag-grade
other
yung-
member wants, you'll just do the dungeon
Oo,
again.
minsan ganun, oo. Kunyari,
Ulit
yun
lang.
nga, 4 kami, di ba? Tapos lahat kami need yung isang mount na yun. Pag nakuha na nung isa, ulitin natin for the others. Ganun naman talaga yung nangyayari. Usually, oo.
So
yung,
ito
option
na
yung option na grid, ano yung mangyayari?
Okay. Kasi ang need, greed, and pass, yung system na yun is, for example, I'm a black mage. And then let's say, Super Warielle is a paladin, for example, na tank. Tapos yung loot na nag-drop, it's for me. Na, as in, item siya na may equip ng black mage. Ako, I have the option of using need kasi magagamit ko na siya.
Mm-mm.
Pero si Super Warielle as a paladin, pwede niya pa rin kunin yun. Pero the what is open to her lang is greed. Kasi hindi niya may equip with the class that she's currently using. So if need yung ni-roll mo, kahit na 1 pa yung lumabas dyan, tas 99 yung mag-greed, sa 1 siya mapupunta. Kasi need mo talaga siya based on the current job that you're using.
Galing.
Galing na may particular system. So ito na actually yung tinatawag na gameplay loop kasi ulit-ulit lang kayo in terms of ano, 'di ba? So explain nyo naman din sa amin ngayon yung tinatawag nga na gameplay loop kasi for sure like for example si Warielle tsaka ikaw V na fully invested kayo sa game na to and hindi kayo pwedeng ma-invest na to kung wala kayong inuulit-ulit na talagang masasabi nyo na ay nasa loophole na ako, hindi na ako makawala. So explain nyo naman sa amin yung ano ba yung expect namin na gameplay loop nito pag kami na yung nag-try?
Actually, wala pa ako sa ano na yan. Nasa MSQ pa lang kasi ako.
MSQ,
Yes,
okay.
the main story. But you can start with the gameplay loop nga, as early as you're at the end of the first expansion, which is ARR, which is hunting for the rare mounts, just as Miss Vee said. So yun, the daily thing that you do kasi in the game is the dungeons, may daily roulette kasi na tinatawag na every day may bonus stuff, bonus experience, bonus gold, and bonus specialty na poetics yung tinatawag. And then when you choose to do the duty roulette, doon siya pero once a day lang yun. So you do that every day. That's one of the gameplay loop. Tama ba? And then, there's also, if you're an expert na, hindi ka na sproutling, and you're done with the main story quest, the next thing is the raids, the savage raids. Yes.
Paano nag-work yung raid na yun? Kasi I think nabutan ko yung stream mo na may mga kasama ka din, parang raid ata yung ginagawa nyo that time. So, paano nag-work yung ganong raid sa FF14?
Actually, I'm not familiar with it yet. Maybe this weekend.
Okay.
Kasi wala pa ako dun eh.
Sige, explain
okay.
ko na lang. Okay, may tier system kasi in terms of difficulty yung raids. And when people say raids kasi, it's literally a party of 8 and then you fight a boss. Tapos in that instance, it's called kasi an instance. May mga mechanics siya as in dodge AoEs or like pupunta ka dito, magsa-stack together kayo. Alam mo yun, as in the usual how to survive and defeat the boss levels. Tapos, you get to experience those in your main story pa lang with normal difficulty. So hindi pa siya super struggle. As in, just to get through it. Kasi when you're introduced to those raids, it's intrinsically in line with the main story quest. So parang i-unlock mo yung stuff as you progress sa story.
Okay.
Yon. So normal yung difficulty niya as you play it sa story. And then pag na-complete mo na yung, let's say for example, set of raids na to through the story, ma-unlock yung extreme difficulty. And for example, yung sa mounts, the difficulty that you have to keep playing it at is sa extreme difficulty. Kasi doon yung mga may loot na, kunyari yung mount, weapons, ganon. But sa that's just a different type of raid. Din yung mga sina Shiva, sina Ifrit, ganon. Pero meron din kasing kasi there are 3 types of raids. I'm sorry, medyo marami siyang nangyayari.
Sige
So,
lang.
yung raids is yung mga familiar tayo, yung mga boss, sina Shiva, sina Ifrit, ganon. That's a separate type of raid. Yun yung hanggang expert level lang. Then the second one, na type of raid is an alliance raid, which is for 24 people.
Wow, dami.
Oo. So, in essence, that's just 3 groups of a party of 8. So, parang, you really need to think about is like 8 people lang talaga yung max. Tapos, yung alliance raid, it's 24 kasi para siyang super expanded na dungeon na you fight mini bosses and then big bosses. Tapos, yung mga big bosses, may items that you get. Tapos, people farm that also kasi yung mga items naman na nagda-drop din doon, you only get it in those dungeons.
Okay.
Tapos
Okay.
yung mga alliance raid na yon, isa lang yung difficulty nun. As in, what it is, yun na talaga yun. So, challenging na siya from the get-go. Tapos may mechanics din siya and everything. And then the last type of raid, which is something that isn't part of main story, na you can actually skip it if you want. Kasi, yun nga, there are players na hindi naman talaga super into raiding, na mas story sa FF. But, so you can skip that part. Pero may raids na people who are into raiding really unlock kasi side story content siya. So in order to do that, may particular quest ka na gagawin. So tatapusin mo rin siya in normal difficulty. Pero when you finish that in normal difficulty, parang lower tier yung drops, the loot that you can get. So, kunyari, natapos mo na kasi 12 siya eh. That's what we call normal raids. So normal difficulty siya, that's 12 different raids. So pag natapos mo na siya, you unlock the savage difficulty, which is like harder than extreme. But the loot is so good. But at the same time, it's rare. Alam mo yon?
And it's such an achievement
Yes.
when you complete it.
Oo. So, yun yung
Pahirap na
ginagawa usually ng mga people who finish the story already. They do savage raids. So, for example, right now, since Shadowbringers na tayo and wala pang new expansion, raiders are more focused on the savage raids that they unlock in Shadowbringers kasi each expansion has a set of savage raids. So yun yung ginagawa ng mga tao ngayon, and that is a party of 8 din. Tapos may boss and then may mechanics that you have to do, ganon. And sa raid na to, this type of raid, yung savage raids, doon din yung mga, alam mo yung, I'm sure you're familiar kasi you played with MMOs, yung mga pataasan ng score based on your performance, your DPS, yon. Doon din sila nagtatali that they upload doon sa mga FF logs online.
So, gaano katagal usually mga raid na yan?
Ayan. So, syempre wala pa ako doon kasi sa MSQ pa ako, but I'm very, close kasi ako doon sa mga raiders ng free company ko kasi sila yung mga nakakasabayan ko pag nagpupuyat ako. And what they told me is, kasi syempre, alam mo yun, I also want to get into the raiding of FF when I finish. So I asked them like, ano ba yung amount of time that you invest in this? And what's interesting about it is, yung sasagot nila was, it really depends on the person. Kasi, for you to survive that raid, of course, kailangan mong matuto dun sa mechanics. Kasi may certain mechanics you need to take note of na literally every member has to do or else magfa-flop na yung entire thing. As in, kasi diba, when we think about it, a DPS, when you think about it, ang job mo lang talaga is to dish out damage.
Yes.
Pero pag nasa savage raid ka, kailangan mong gawin yung mechanics with the tanks and the healers and the other DPS. Or else, mamamatay kayong lahat. As in, party wipe siya. Parang ganun yung nangyayari.
When you say mechanic, pwede ka bang magbigay ng isang example ng mechanic na yun?
Okay, sige. So for example, a DPS check. Yung tipong may mga orbs na lumalabas in the dungeon. For example. So kailangan, there's one member per orb and then you wait for the damage bomb to drop. Na for example, if may isang orb na na walang party member doon, party-wide wipe siya. Parang ganon. As in, kailangan talaga gawin ng lahat ng tao to. Or else you all die. And then you start from the start.
Teamwork talaga kailangan.
Teamwork
Ganyan.
talaga siya. So, that's what they call progging or going through progression. Kasi some people, syempre, inaaral nyo pa. So, for example, gusto kong aralin until yung stage na maglalabas na siya ng mga minions niya o yung mga aliping sa gigilid. So, aaralin nyo hanggang doon. Parang ano ba yung mechanics for us to get to that point? Parang ganon. So, that's what they do when they learn the mechanics na, okay, hanggang dito muna tayo and then we wait na. Pag na-master na natin to, we can move on to the next mechanic and to the next until ma-memorize na natin yung buong thing and we clear it. Kasi syempre, when you clear it, that doesn't mean you get the loot that you want, of course. Kasi rare pa rin yung drops, di ba? So, even if you cleared that dungeon, syempre, achievement na siya in itself, but at the same time, you want the items kasi may mga rare mounts, rare gear. So, ulit-ulitin nyo siya, di ba? Kaya, matagal talaga yung time investment ng raiders ngayon kasi, fun fact lang din, next week, lalabas yung next patch, which is 5.4, which will introduce the last set of Savage Raids for this expansion. Kasi patapos yung Shadowbringers arc nga. Because magsi 6.0 na next year, which is the next expansion.
Ang galing lang kasi na-curious ako, no? Pag nanonood kasi ako ng, yung ibang MMO or yung mga games na nalaro ko, most likely parang hack and slash or point and click yung game mechanic niya, no? Tapos dyan sa mga dungeon, may mechanic siya na parang specific. Kunwari, kailangan talagang mag-teamwork kayo. Hindi, kunwari ako, healer ako. Okay, heal ka lang dyan, bahala ka na dyan. Tapos kami, atake lang kami ng atake. Tapos may magtatank siya. Pero ikaw mismo bilang healer, hindi doon natatapos yung role mo. Kailangan mo pa rin mag-participate on a certain mechanic doon sa dungeon na yun.
Yes.
Ang ganda.
And the good thing about it is, iba kasi yung mechanic, let's say, ng dungeon ni Shiva sa dungeon ni Ifrit. Ganon siya.
Oh.
So parang if you, kunyari, kasi may savage raids din sa Shadowbringers of certain primals eh. So for example, na-clear mo na yung, let's say, for example, savage raid ni Garuda, ganon, if meron man, kasi wala pa ako doon. Iba yung mechanic na aralin mo for the savage raid of Shiva. Kaya matagal talaga yung progression nila kasi, kunyari, what you learn in this dungeon is completely different from what you will learn in this other dungeon. Kaya invested yung mga tao kasi syempre, it's a learning thing din. And there's fun naman in learning talaga na, like, guys, shocking yung mechanics minsan, I'm telling you. Like, may isang, kasi recently nga, diba, I told you, I'm still doing the content. May isang raid, yung 24-man raid akong sumali, may math siya, guys, ang lala. As in
math
ang
problem?
lala. Yung tipong parang 1, 2, 3, 4, tapos may lalabas na notice na parang, a multiple of ganito or like a prime number. So pupunta ka dun sa block wherein the question corresponds to the answer or else you will die.
Parang pera o ba yun?
Oo, as in, grabe talaga siya. Tapos meron din siya parang boat is sinking levels. May isa ko na-experience sa dungeon na gano'n, na parang kailangan may 3 people dito, may 2 people doon. As in, gano'n siya. So fun niya for me kasi what I do is I always do dungeons na blind run yung first time ko always. Kasi, diba, fun naman matuto yung mechanics without you, So like, fun siya. As in, kahit namamatay ako, I always say this on stream na expect yung mamatay ako pag first time ko kasi inaaral ko siya and it's fun. Diba?
Totoo.
So yun yung fun din for me eh.
Kasi nakikita ko sa mga gameplay, kunwari, parang, ewan ko, siguro nasa dungeon sila or nasa raid, kunwari parang magkakast ng spell yung kalaban, tapos parang sa daan, or sa lapag, sa sahig, parang may area of effect lang, tapos parang kailangan mong hindi pumwesto doon, tama ba?
May iba na kailangan hindi ka doon. Tapos may iba na they're gonna like may magna-notify na parang there's something off about his stance na you can completely miss na lalabas yung ganon. Tapos apparently nagbaliktad pala yung ginagawa niya, which is what I just did earlier. As in yung tipong kailangan doon ka pala sa AOE tatapak. Or else mamatay ka.
That's another reason why you need people to play with you. Kasi walang tutorial yung game.
Talaga.
Walang tutorial yung dungeon. So how will you know na hindi ka dun tatapak? How will you
Trial
know
by
na...
fire.
So very thankful kami talaga as a free company because they are guiding us all throughout.
So hopefully rin kami, no, if ever man na mag-try na kami one of these days niyan ng ng FF14 nga. So, parang so far since kayo parehas is nasa main story quest, no? And parang aside sa raids and other activities, primarily ang na-enjoy nyo dito is main story quest, di ba? So,
Mhm.
okay lang ba sa inyo guys kung tanongin namin kayo ng parang brief summary ng kwento? Like, na-intriga kami dun sa part na Game of Thrones eh. Kasi, kami sa amin nag-appeal talaga sa amin parehas sa Jhaz. Story-driven games eh. So, parang
Yes.
Game of Thrones is a win na sa amin, pero feeling namin may kulang pa eh. Parang gusto pa namin mas may immerse dito na parang magkaroon na kami na idea kung what are we going to expect. Like, pwede niyo ba kaming bigyan ng summary dun sa experience nyo sa story ng hindi naman spoiler, heavy.
Oh my
Kung hindi
God.
naman
It's
mahirap.
hard.
Hindi, sige,
Without
spoil muna.
spoilers.
Kasi
Hindi
mas
mamamatay si
marami
Jon
ako
Snow.
alam eh.
Sige, sige.
Ay,
Ako, I can
pinaka-basic.
only tell you about where I am right now, which is in the first expansion na hindi pa nga tapos. Nasa
Sige.
post pa lang
Sige.
ako eh. The game kasi, di ba, the base game is A Realm Reborn. Merong game, and then may post game pa ng A Realm Reborn. And then yung expansion na Heavensward, may Heavensward, and then may post din. So mahaba talaga siya. In A Realm Reborn, the story is you have been chosen by the crystal as usual. FF eh.
Mhm.
What's new? And your goal is to save the world from the Empire. So parang di ba? Parang
typical.
Star Wars, di ba? The Empire.
The Empire.
Yeah.
Mala
So,
12 din. Pang,
To be honest,
Mhm.
the story of A Realm Reborn isn't that good. You can actually just scan through it. But when you reach the post ARR, that's when the story gets good because some people die already.
Yeah.
Jon Snow, mga ganun. Mga
May
ganun.
mga, may mga deaths na parang,
Jon Snow.
ganon.
you would expect, parang yung Red Wedding, yung di ka
Ay, ganun.
nagulat ka
Oh,
na
shit.
pinatay
Gulat
si
factor siya.
Prince. Oo.
Oo.
What? Kasi ang chill lang ng A Realm Reborn eh.
Ah.
Typical story na you save this person,
Mm-mm.
save the world, save the princess, ganyan. But magugulat ka when you reach post ARR, may namatay. Na main character.
Main character.
The main character. So,
Okay.
yun na, tuloy-tuloy na. For me, that's when doon ako na-hook talaga sa game. Na,
Yun yung red
Hindi
wedding
na ako
ng
natutulog.
FF14. Parang
Oo,
ganun. Yun yung
red wedding point. Pero that's just one. Pagdating mo sa Heavensward, marami pang mamamatay.
Bawat,
Game of
ang hirap
Thrones nga.
magsalita ng
Ang
hindi
hirap,
nang
Oo. Ang hirap
Ay, okay.
yung story ng hindi nasa-spoil. But, you know, if there are dragons involved, if there are kings involved, if there are priests and princess involved, you know that the story is good. Medieval.
Oo.
If you're into that medieval
Yes, yes.
type of story.
Favorite
And
character
ano?
ko sa Game of Thrones si si Littlefinger. May ganun din ba dyan sa
Oh my God.
May
Can I
Littlefinger.
just say, sige, I'll jump off from what Super Warielle has said. Kasi yun nga, I've experienced quite a bit more of the story compared to her, which is shocking because she started this entire thing for me. Pero, ano ba? Okay. So, ARR, sige, I'll start na lang from ARR kasi is literally, kaya siya worst, I guess, is it's literally world building. Na parang you don't even know why you're there. They literally threw you out and then you're in this world fighting the Empire, diba? Ganun. But then for me, as in my personal take on ARR, it's literally, you can't trust anyone, the game. Ganon siya for me, ha? ARR. So this is my way then of like hyping people up who are trying to play it. ARR is literally, you're the hero and you can't trust anyone. Yon. So so syempre after ng ARR na you can't trust anyone, yung post ARR nun, dun magma-manifest yung the people who you thought you could trust, you can't trust them. Dun siya magma-manifest.
Sarap
When you get to Heavensward, that is physically Game of Thrones. Like at the peak of the Dragon era. Yun.
Whoa. Okay.
Yun. So yun yung that's how I'm gonna tease you about Heavensward. Yung post Heavensward naman, that is literally trying to restore a civilization. Yon. And then what happens after you have restored that civilization? Syempre, you're gonna rebuild stuff, ganon. So that's post Heavensward. And then Stormblood, which is the second expansion, but also the third game naman, that is experiencing the other side of the world. Parang sa ARR and sa Heavensward, you were all just here. So Stormblood naman is what is happening at this side of the world.
Parang yung una, Westeros, tapos yung sumunod, Essos naman.
Yes, ganon. Parang ganon siya. That is Stormblood. So medyo malalost ka sa start kasi syempre, who are these characters? Ano yung nangyayari? So explore ka ulit doon sa nangyari. And syempre, you resolve that issue there. Kasi yung Empire nga, it's not just here naman eh. It's literally here. So, diba? So, you experience this naman in Stormblood. Tapos yung post-Stormblood, syempre, if na-experience mo na to, na-resolve mo yung mga issues dito, you're gonna experience the effect of saving two sides of the thing that your opponent is trying to take over. Diba? So, yung post-Stormblood is the effect of your saving, like all of your saving. So, what happens in the last expansion, which is where I am, kasi technically, na-save mo naman na yung issue ng world. So, this is their best expansion, in my opinion ha, and I'm just starting because this expansion is literally, you think you know what happened, or you think you know, or you think you saved everything. Akala mo yun na yun, but the flip side of it is, you haven't. Yun. So, hindi ko siya isa-spoil of course, kasi in-explore ko pa rin siya, pero ganun siya kaganda of why I'm encouraging people to play the game na because the current expansion right now, I'm just in MSQ 72 and level cap is 80. Tapos favorite expansion ko na siya. As in, ang lala. Transition pa lang to this expansion, grabe na talaga siya. As in like, and what's good about this expansion is it ties all the loose ends from ARR pa. As in, things na you think were insignificant. Biglang, oh my God, ba't nandito to? As in, dapat pa, like, pinansin ko to before. Ganon. Ganon siya.
Nice.
So, follow-up question lang dyan, no? Kasi, and thanks for, not giving too much spoilers, but yun yung overview lang na share nyo sa amin.
Hirap magkwento ng walang spoilers.
Yung overview na binigay nyo sa amin actually is parang recipe to for a perfect FF story na I guess no wonder kaya ang daming nagsasabi na critically acclaimed daw talaga yung story ng FF14. So, my follow-up question to you guys is this. So, since ganito nga yung magiging takbo ko noon ng story nito is, ako kasi parang nakapansin ako ang game na to is slow burn siya for me. Like, hindi ako agad immerse sa kanya during the first, siguro I've played like 4 or 5 hours na parang hindi pa rin ako connected dun sa story, sa characters and whatnot. So, kayo ba at anong mga ilang hours na kayo in-game bago nyo na-feel na, ay, hype na ako, na parang, di na ako parang, so lang, click lang ng kung ano-ano. So, mga ilang hours na kayo sa game bago nyo na-realize na, uy, I'm hooked na talaga sa story.
Parang saan nag-click?
Pang ilang oras na nag-click?
I didn't time check.
Ako din.
Pero I can tell you which part of the story na hook ako. It's when my favorite character was something very, very tragic happened to my favorite character, which is the princess of the main city.
Okay.
There are 3 main cities kasi in the game. So there's Limsa, Luminsa, Gridania, and Ulda. And I am part of the Ulda. So sobrang may tragic na nangyari dun sa favorite character ko sa city-state where I am in. It's Nanamo. So doon ako what happened? I thought this was a chill story. Akala ko, I'm a savior. I'm the warrior of light. Why? Bakit yung favorite character ko yung hindi ko na-save? Oo. So doon ako. And that's post-ARR na.
Parang Luna Freya. Hindi naman.
Parang, yeah. She's like Luna Freya of that,
yes.
That city-state. So doon na, tuloy-tuloy na.
Ako rin post ARR kasi ang nangyari nga, like I said, was ARR is literally world building eh. So that's why you understand why the pacing is slow, why medyo na-gets ko rin kasi when I started playing it, especially ikaw na you started it, diba? Ma-realize mo kasi na why are these quests literally just making me bring this thing to that other place. Oo, diba? To meet these people. Tapos later on, mas na-appreciate ko yung ARR kasi okay, medyo like at the back of my mind na naalam ko dito na ako magte-teleport kasi, 'di ba? Parang you realize na it's really a world building mechanic what they did in ARR just for you to familiarize yourself with the location that you will spend hours of your life in.
Kasi the names are new eh. The names are
Mm-mm.
new. The
The
characters.
NPCs. So literally, right after you finish ARR, overdrive na siya. Ganun na siya kalala. And like, I can promise you, once you finish the boss in ARR, you are automatically plunged into the real story. Kasi from that point pa lang, when I finished the base game, na nag-start ako ng post-ARR, biglang ang daming na-reveal na kailangan kong gawin. Na parang, ito na pala yung nangyayari talaga. Kasi yun nga, ARR this is the world that you're in. We drop you here. So after that, you really have to immerse yourself in it na. So from that point, like, full speed.
That's
So-
level 50. So,
Level
ikaw, you nag-stop ka sa level 11?
11,
No?
yeah.
Oh, level 50 talaga yung
Level 50.
Okay.
intense.
So,
Pero
talagang
I
kailangan...
Oo, the good part din kasi is, yun nga, you really, I don't know, the thing that made me survive ARR kasi is I had them nga to play with. Kasi, for example, syempre, newbie, ano yung gagawin ko pag magda-dungeon queue ako? Kailangan you do dungeons to progress your MSQ eh. So, it really helps that I played with friends for ARR.
And
Yeah.
it really helped that they expanded the free trial to Heavensward. Kasi ako naabutan ko na hindi hanggang level 35 lang yung cap eh. There was a dungeon that I literally waited more than 2 hours para lang maka-queue. Para lang makapasok dun sa dungeon na yun na kailangan for me to proceed with the next parts of the story. So, thankfully, they released the expanded version. So, madaming new players in the scene now. So, it's very, very critical talaga that you have people or have people who can play with you to join you in the dungeons.
Yung mga
And ano
dungeon na
pala?
yan, hindi siya pwedeng solo dungeon, ganun. Kailangan talaga may party ka.
Yes.
Oo.
You
When
will
you play
die.
solo kasi you queue
You can.
and then you get matched with random people. Kasi
Oo.
kailangan siya 4. The smallest is 4 party.
Okay.
Madali lang naman yung MSQ. It's really easy lang. You can do it talaga. Yung mahirap is the savage difficulty, the hard difficulty, yung next step nung same dungeon na yun.
Yung
And
mga mechanic na sinasabi kanina ni Miss V, may experience ko na kagad yun sa mga unang part ng game.
Yes,
Yes,
pero the
yes.
mechanic in the MSQ dungeon version is totally different from the mechanic in the raid version. Parang ganon. So like it's really a new environment where you're playing. And also ang maganda din with what I'm actually glad that Super Warielle mentioned it na na-expand nga to 60 is because apparently with that update pala, they cut a lot of the fetch quests from ARR down already. So what I experienced already is apparently mas marami pa pala yung fetch quests niya before, lo and behold. Pero ngayon, sobrang trim down na nila yung fetch quests na. It's really just what is essential for you to do na to get around the world.
Ang
The
galing,
streamline
no?
na siya.
Oo. So parang in order for us to, pretty much be immersed din, especially dun sa mga latter parts nga nitong ARR is primarily dapat samat may party din kami. So, I want to transition that topic, no? Kasi kanina pinag-usapan na rin natin yung community nyo eh. Yung community nyo or yung guild nyo. So, in general ba, yung Philippine community, hindi lang siguro mag-focus tayo sa guild nyo, yung Philippine community ba ng FF14, kamusta naman ba para sa inyo? Meron ba kayong mga for sure based sa mga sinishare nyo, primarily good experience, pero may mga not so good experiences ba or kamusta ba in general?
The community of Final Fantasy has been the best. Kasi na-experience ko din, lalo na MOBA, you know how it is in the MOBA community. And so far, FF14 is the best community I've ever. Walang toxic. I'm sobrang minimal. There was only one time that I felt attacked.
I remember.
Bakit?
Yun
Okay lang ba
lang,
i-share?
yun lang.
Okay lang i-share.
Sure, it's not that naman.
Sige.
We were in a dungeon. And then, na-disconnect si Miss V.
Miss, iba branch off ko siya later.
Internet.
Oo, Philippine
Na-disconnect si
internet.
Miss V. And then, itong random na to, sinabi, if you can't, ayaw niya maniwala na na-disconnect si Miss V.
Yeah.
So, pinagtanggol ko si Miss V. Na-disconnect siya. And then, please wait for us. Ganun. Ayaw talaga niya maniwala na di-disconnect kasi nag-type si Miss V at that time. Pero just to because that time, Miss V was the healer and she has to let the tank yung
Sinasabi ko
namin.
naglalag kasi ako.
Wait lang. Saka, we can proceed with the next part of the dungeon. If we don't have a healer, you will die. We will all die. So we were telling him to wait lang. Pero, but yun nga, hindi siya naniniwala na disconnect.
Inaway siya.
Oo. So,
Pero,
yun lang.
oo. But at the same time naman, I mean, ako I don't even know if that person was Filipino, but it was in the same, data center. With like what Super Warielle said nga earlier, you can create naman a character in data center. But just because ang dami rin kasing Filipino dito, it's possible na Filipino siya.
Pero so far, it's really amazing. Lalo na yung free company.
Yes.
My free company in Tonberry was also, kasi very welcoming sila sa mga new players. So you just
actually,
tell them, I need help and they're ready to help you.
Mafe-feel mo sa page pa lang ng Philippines FF14, the multiple pages of FF14 Philippines. Kasi whenever, syempre, when I just browse on my phone, the usual thing that we all do, check timeline, ganun. Syempre, when you're part of certain groups, malabas naman yung mga posts doon, diba? And I see posts of, syempre, mga newbies na parang nagpo-post na, can anyone help me in this dungeon because I've been queuing for a while. And a lot of people really comment na what server are you in? I can join you, invite me, ganon. And they really get things done naman together.
Galing. So, eto na, no? So, parang di na kami mapaghintay siguro. Anytime mag-start na kami, update namin kayo kung paano. So, siguro one of the things na siguro na huli namin tatanong sa inyo is, since eto nga, we're in the process of starting this, is ano ba yung mga newbie tips na pwede niyo ibigay sa amin para mas mag-click sa amin tong game?
Newbie tips. Do your MSQs first.
Yes.
In, MSQ is the main scenario quest, and yun yung may fireball logo na may exclamation point. Meron kasing exclamation point na yellow lang, may exclamation point na blue. You can also do that. That's important also. But if not as important as your main scenario quest, kasi you won't be able to access this part of the world if you don't complete this particular main scenario quest. Yun yung tip ko sa newbies. And also watch Zepla HQ. She's very helpful. She's my favorite YouTuber na FF14 yung content. Meron siyang videos doon na very helpful to newbies. She explains na this is what the DPS does. This is the mistakes that newbies make. So you know that you don't do this anymore kasi sinabi na niya eh. Yung as simple as the positioning of your class na this is the rear, this is if your skill says you position in the rear, you position in the rear. You read talaga what the skill description says and you follow it. Kasi minsan click lang tayo ng click. We don't read what it does. So it's very important that you do or else hindi magiging effective yung skill mo na yun.
Nice. Yeah. So sa'yo naman, Miss V.
Oh my gosh. Medyo marami to actually. Kasi like I said, I main this as my main game na when I stream. So a lot of newbies actually hop into my stream from time to time from across the world. Kasi I stream like gabi to madaling araw levels. So I get Filipinos and international viewers. And then a lot of them always ask. So it really made me think on stream. And branching off muna dun sa what Super Warielle said, no, really focus on MSQ because it's essential. It gives a lot of experience points and money. So parang you won't feel like you're lagging behind in EXP and in your gil or your money if you do MSQ talaga, because that will really be your main source of EXP and money. And at the same time, your job quest. Kasi like I said, it's a separate experience from your main story quest. And usually the job quests are the ones that unlock your skills, your spells, yon. Kasi may mga stuff talaga na you really have to do the job quest to unlock those things. So yon, that's the first one. Main story and job quest. Second, if you're like me, na you really like unlocking the stuff that you want to unlock, which is, for example, dungeons, raids, that you won't have access to if you just focus on MSU otherwise, do yung blue naman. Yung blue na exclamation point with the plus sign. Because usually that sign means it's an unlockable. So it's either, for example, a dungeon, a raid, ganon. Yun yung mga unlockable stuff. Yun, so do that. A third tip is always do your best to not be shy to communicate with your party members, especially in a dungeon. Kasi, ako kasi, even though I main Black Mage talaga, I decided to be that player who has a job per type, like per role. So, meron akong healer role, which is my White Mage. Meron akong tank role, which is my Dark Knight. Meron akong ranged physical DPS na role, which is my Dancer. Tapos physical melee DPS, which is my Samurai. So, every role kasi, iba talaga yung experience niya, tas iba talaga yung need niya. So, what I mean by communicate is, for example, you've been doing a healer for this whole time. The way that you want to go about a certain experience or a dungeon or a trial is not always the same as how, for example, your tank will want to experience it. And one way to paint that for you is, syempre, the tank is the one that has to attract all of the enemies that you fight, di ba? So if healer ka, na gusto mong mas chill lang, onti lang yung umaatake sa kanya so that your healing is efficient, you have to let them know. Kasi what if masanay sila na mas marami silang pinupul, tas na-overwhelm ka as a healer, hindi ka nakaka-heal ng maayos, so syempre that's not really gonna reflect well on you, and you're not gonna learn kasi mas nape-pressure ka lang to keep doing what you think you should be doing, di ba? So always communicate effectively. Fourth advice ko is don't be swayed with what everyone is saying, because when I started playing, almost everyone told me, focus on one job, max level it, then tsaka mo na isipin yung iba. Pero for me, I found my experience more enriching when I decided to have at least one job per role. Kasi mas naging sensitive ako to the needs of those that I'm playing with. So, like I said, I main nga Black Mage. Sa main story ko, Black Mage ako. But at least I know na where I will position myself in such a way na hindi mape-pressure si healer na ako yung i-heal niya imbes na si tank. Or for example, dito ako pa-position para si tank yung kukuha ng lahat ng aggro. Di niya naiisipin na mapupunta sa akin yung aggro. You know what I mean? Because you get that sensitivity once you experience what it's like to be in their shoes. So that was how I wanted to go about it. So don't be swayed with what people are saying of how you should play it. Like, play it at your own pace, how you, like, the way that you really want to go about the game. And last tip na lang siguro is just enjoy it. Honestly, just play through it. Because honestly, may encounter kang mga people who purchased story skips, because you can buy a story skip. For example, if nabore ka sa RM Reborn, you can buy a story skip where you literally like, hindi mo na gagawin yung story, punta ka na agad dun sa post ARR. So it's available for you. Especially for people who have alternate characters na gusto nila iba rin yung experience with that character. That's available for you. Pero for me talaga, my advice is, para kasing initiation phase yung ARR. That's how I view ARR. Kaya I always suggest people to play it. Kasi parang you won't really enjoy the thing if you just skip through it. And that's also additional payment because you paid for subscription, then you paid for a story skip. So anong point? Nag-double bayad ka, hindi mo pa nalaro, di ba?
Totoo.
So really
True,
just enjoy the story because at the end of the day, it's an FF game. And an FF game is very story-driven. If you think about it, even though it's an MMO, the MMO aspect is actually a side content of this game. Kasi it's still branded as an FF game, which is you still do the story before you even do the raids, di ba? So yun yung mga tips ko for
Nice.
newbies.
Ganda.
Just to follow up also on Miss V's fourth advice, yung don't be, swayed by other people telling you what to do. I can add to that. Don't be overwhelmed with, don't compare your progression with other people. Kasi minsan nakaka-conscious, ay, ang layo na niya. Or, I also want to be there na sa mga raids. Gusto ko na ma-experience yan. And if you keep thinking about others people's progression, you won't be able to enjoy where you are right now with the game. Kasi iba-iba yung experience natin sa game eh. Yung iba, nag-enjoy sila with being a DPS, while others enjoy crafting. Kasi may ganun ding part of the game eh. Magka-craft ka lang and then you sell what you crafted. They enjoy earning a lot of money eh.
Ang merchants.
Oo, bili ka house, diba? If marami kang money.
So, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you enjoy the game.
Yes.
Yun lang. Just let yourself be happy and be content with where you are in the game. Don't compare your progression with other people.
Nice. Tara, Jhaz, login na tayo.
Gagawa na ako ng account eh.
Gawa na tayo ng account. But then again, thank you very much ulit, Miss V and Warielle para sa, pag-guest dito. Kasi ang dami namin natutunan. Talagang literal na crash course sa FF14. So, thank you very much, guys, sa pagsama sa amin sa episode na to. And yeah, hopefully makabalik din kayo sa mga susunod, di ba? So, and so again, I guess it's about time to wrap up na Jhaz, no? Kasi medyo nagto 2 hours na rin pala tayo.
Hindi, tsaka gagawa pa ako ng account eh.
Lagi na eh. Oo. Yes, okay. So, move on na tayo sa, I guess, last part ng aming podcast, which are off-topic recommendation. So, again, off-topic recommendations is anything na pwede nyo i-recommend sa ating mga listeners or viewers na non-video game related. Mapa Netflix show, kanta, books, anything.
Artist,
Basta
YouTuber, streamer, ganyan.
Yes. So, sige, dahil may mga guest tayo ngayon, so unahin natin silang dalawa. So, Super Warielle, ano ang iyong off-topic recommendation for this week?
My off-topic recommendation is Blackpink.
Nice!
Oy!
Ano ba yan? Sinong bias mo?
Yeah. I just recently got into K-pop because of Miss V.
Sinong
You're
bias mo?
welcome.
Nagsasaluhan lang kami ng mga addiction.
Yes.
Okay, and
Ito, Blinko din itong katabi ko.
Umuubos ako ng oras dyan kakanood ng mga funny moments ni Jen Lisa, mga ganyan.
Lisa,
Queen.
Lisa, may bias.
So, teka lang, bakit bakit Blackpink? Anong meron sa Blackpink?
Yung for me, I like what they've achieved so far. So, di ba sila yung first ever Korean group that performed in Coachella?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Hindi ba BTS?
no.
Coachella? Hindi.
Hindi ba?
Blackpink.
Army ka ba?
So,
Army ka ba?
Asawa ko, Army.
Asawa mo.
Oh my God.
So, na-curious ako, anong difference sa kanila? So, doon ako naging stalker. Na yung YouTube videos, I wanted to learn their dance steps na sa Love Sick Girls, ganyan. And what really, yung nag-catch talaga ng attention ko sa kanila is they can speak in English really well. Oo. Aside from their achievements, of course. Maliban kay Jisoo.
Yes.
Pero she can understand. Pero yung
Jisoo,
other
I'm
three
okay.
talaga ang smooth.
Nice.
Natuwa ako, pre. May mga Blink pala yung
Pwede mo na ituloy yung Blackpink side quest
episode. Kasi
mo.
meron yung podcast namin, di ba, video game related siya.
Mhm.
Meron din kaming mga podcast episode na ang tawag namin is side quest. Side quest, video game reference din. Sa side quest naman, yung mga topic namin doon, mga hindi video game related. Kumbaga parang full episode siya ng off-topic recommendation. Parang ganun. So, from the longest time, gusto kong gumawa ng topic about Blackpink. Wala pa lang akong mahanap na guest na sobrang patay na patay din sa Blackpink. So,
Oh
baka
my
pwede na
gosh.
kayo.
Oh my gosh.
Alright.
Oh
So,
my
ayan ba?
God.
Meron ng So, again, thanks ulit, Warielle. Blackpink for this week, guys. Pakinggan nyo na yan. So, sa'yo naman, Miss V, anong off-topic recommendation mo?
Sige, I have for music and for not music. Not music. Pero for music yon, actually K-pop din, pero not just Blackpink. Kasi hindi naman ako loyalist. I listen to a lot. I listen to Twice, I listen to
Nice.
Blackpink.
Red Velvet.
Red Velvet, yes. Stream Psycho, Song of the Year. I also listen to BTS. I listen to EXO. And yun for me, immersed din sa K-pop. Like, don't be so averse to immersing yourself in K-pop because it's actually good if you listen to it. Like, even if you don't understand some of it, like the beat is enough to get you moving, to get your day made. So yeah, K-pop. Go K-pop. For the not music naman, if you're a comic book reader, I would actually recommend you check out Powers of X and House of X. It's I think it's the latest release sa X-Men comics lately. And for me personally, it's really the comic story arc that really brought X-Men back into the comic book map. Kasi lately, medyo nag-dwindle down yung quality ng X-Men comics. Pero I started kasi with X-Men sa comic book journey ko. So yeah, check out Powers of X and House of X. It's really good. It brings me back to House of M days, which is something that I really love.
Nice.
Yun.
Nice. Thank you very much sa mga off-topic recommendations. Guys, so again, for this week, ang recommendations namin ay Blackpink at Power of X. So, ayan.
Yes.
So again, maraming salamat guys sa pagtutok sa aming
Ikaw,
episode.
yung off-topic recommendation natin.
Ayaw ko pala. Sige. Ikaw muna. Sige, go.
Ako muna? Okay. Yung off-topic recommendation ko, actually sikat na sikat siya ngayon, pero gusto ko mag-appeal sa mga listeners natin na medyo, kumbaga parang hindi pa nagda-dive in. Kasi usually, may mga tao na pag sobrang sikat yung bagay, parang, ay, patayin, antayin ko muna mawala yung hype, tsaka ko siya panoorin. May ganun Usually ganun din kasi ako. Pero ngayon na, inumpisahan ko na siya, parang gusto kong sabihin na, wag na kayong, kumbaga panoorin nyo na, wag nyo nang patayin yung hype. So, ang recommendation ko ngayon is Startup. Sobrang, nakikita ko siya sa timeline ko ngayon, sa newsfeed ko ngayon, may mga team good boy, team di ko alam, di ko nagigets. Pero, inumpisahan ko siya kahapon yata yun. Tangina, sobrang iyak ako ng iyak, first episode pa lang. Grabe. Tsaka yung attention to detail nung K-drama kasi sobrang panalo. Meron isang scene doon na I think hindi naman din ganun ka-importante. Pero nakot lang yung attention ko kasi yung meron doon isang scene, may dalawa kasi para magkapatid sila. Tapos nag-divorce yung parents nila. Tapos may napangasawa yung isa hindi ko alam kung ano nangyari. Anyway. So nag-meet sila sa isang coffee shop. Yung isang ate niya na mayaman tapos yung isang bida si Suzy. Yung kape niya is hot coffee yung isa naman iced coffee. So parang sabi ko, parang wala naman siyang parang hindi naman siya big deal, pero nung napanood ko kasi yung scene, parang na-reinforce yung yung personalities ng bawat character na parang pag composed ka, pag serious ka, most likely ang inom mo hot coffee, pero pag medyo adventurous ka or parang Gen Z or kung parang medyo bubbly yung personality mo, iced coffee yung iinumin mo, orderin mo sa coffee shop. Hindi siya ganun ka-accurate, hindi naman din siya ganun 100% sure, pero ang ganda lang kasi na habang pinapanood ko yun, nabigyan pa nila ng ng detalye yung eksena na yun. And then at the same time, yung story kasi ang ganda rin nung Startup, paano ba? Yung na-experience ko pa lang kasi yung story dun sa tatay niya, ni Bay Suzy. Sobrang iyak ako ng iyak nung sa first episode pa lang. So, kung nakikita nyo sa timeline, kayong mga nakikinig at nanonood, nakikita nyo sa timeline yung mga kaibigan nyo na sobrang hype sa K-drama na to tapos ayaw nyo pang panoorin kasi gusto nyong patayin muna yung hype, wag na. Panoorin nyo na, sobrang ganda. First episode pa lang, sobrang panalo na. So, yun yung recommendation ko, startup. Kayo ba? Nanonood ba kayo nun? Napanood nyo na ba yun?
I started it. I started it.
Na-start mo na?
Oo, pero Final Fantasy has absorbed me. So I'm
FF is
taking my
life.
time. Yeah, FF is live.
Hirap mag-budget ng oras eh, no? Siyempre, priority
Sobrang
Final
lala.
Fantasy.
Adulting.
Oo, sinestream ko pa siya. So,
Mhm.
di ba?
8
Yes.
hours.
8 hours.
na
Nag-8
yan.
hours ako nung isang araw. Grabe.
Grabe, hirap nun.
Mm-mm.
Pero sige. Sa akin, mabilis lang, no?
Mm.
Netflix din yung recommend ko for this weekend. Bihira ako mag-recommend ng anime, but this week, sige, mag-recommend ako ng anime. Kasi, natuwa ako kasi kahapon, nalaman ko na na-release na pala yung season 5 ng Shokugeki no Soma or Food Wars.
Nice!
So, kung familiar kayo doon, ito yung isa sa mga anime na tungkol sa pagluluto na parang ang duel nila is instead of yung typical na labanan is sa kitchen na nag-duel sila. So, it's on its 5th season and actually, tatakal na ito yung final arc ng manga. So, kung hindi nyo pa rin nasisimulan, gaya nga nung pag-recommend ni Jhaz sa startup, kung hindi nyo pa rin nasisimulan tong anime na to, this is the best time kasi sa Netflix, papanood mo na from season 1 to season 5. So,
Nice.
ayan. Tsaka nakagutom yung mga,
Ganda kasi naman. Tsaka yung mga reaction nila, no?
Oo. Nauhubaran. Nauhubaran din no? So, ayan. So, ayan. Yun yung mga recommendation namin for this week, guys. And again, salamat ulit sa lahat ng mga nakinig at nanood sa episode na to. And before we wrap up, Jhaz, isang shoutout muna sa ating mga sponsors.
Nox, sponsor. Okay, salamat sa mga sponsors namin, sa mga partners namin sa Forest Prints, mga affordable at quality prints, and our official food trip ng The Gamesilog Show, ang Batang Lugaw. Follow nyo sila sa pages nila. Merong Instagram tsaka Facebook page. So, yan.
Yan. So, also, promote nyo din naman, Marielle, tsaka V, yung mga pages nyo.
Go, sis.
Okay, I'll go first. So, yeah, our page is Gamebookr. We stream a variety of games. Right now, our main games are Pokemon, Marvel Super War, and Final Fantasy, and Genshin Impact.
Yun.
Yes, we stream at around 9 p.m., but sometimes we also do special streams at around 6 p.m. So, hope to see you there.
Nice.
Thank you. So, ikaw naman, Miss V.
Yes. Hello, guys. It's me again. Ayan. Please follow my page also. It's facebook.com/themissvee. And yes, I also stream a variety of games as well. But right now, I'm really focusing on Final Fantasy 14 because why not? I mean, I love this game so much.
Totoo.
But also on the side, I'm planning to go back on continuing my playthrough of Persona 5 Royal because I'm already in the bonus semester of that game. So I'm gonna stream that soon. And also when I reach AR20 in Genshin Impact, diba, babalik ako. Kasi they're also the reason why I'm playing Genshin Impact. Because, why not? We have a lot of time eh. Diba?
Sinong
Ayun.
bias mo sa Persona? Si Futaba sa akin eh.
Kasumi ako.
Makoto.
Haru!
Kasumi and ako talaga.
Iba tayo.
Iba-iba ang ganda.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Galing.
Ayun. So I hope to see you all there. Actually, later I will stream again. My usual stream time of Final Fantasy 14 is 11 p.m. onwards. And by onwards, aka until mapagod ako.
Wow.
I hope to see you all there.
Grind lang ng grind, ano?
Mm-mm.
So, ayan. So, again, salamat ulit sa lahat ng mga nanood and nakinig sa episode na to. And as always, guys, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our page at The Gamesilog Show. Available kami sa Apple Podcasts, sa Google Podcasts, sa Spotify, sa Anchor, at kahit saan mang podcast platform kami available. And before we wrap up, again, salamat ulit, Miss V and Marielle sa pag-guest.
Salamat.
Thank you for
Parang
having
appreciate namin. Thank you, you're welcome. And again, as always, on behalf of the Gamesilog Show, this is Dell.
And this is Jhaz. Salamat sa pakikinig. Hanggang sa susunod na episode ulit. Bye!
Bye.
The Gamesilog Show ay kwentuhan podcast about video games. Available ito sa lahat ng platform tulad ng iTunes, Spotify at Google Podcast. Every Monday ang bawat episode. Well, depende sa schedule namin ni Dell. Kung nagustuhan nyo ang episode na to, sana i-review nyo sa iTunes at sa Facebook. Kung hindi naman, okay lang, i-review nyo pa rin. Kung meron kayong opinion, suggestion, or trip nyo lang mag-share ng thoughts sa kahit anong bagay, punta ka lang sa @thegamesilog show sa Facebook at sa Instagram. So yun, salamat sa pakikinig hanggang sa susunod na episode ulit. Bye!